Simple.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting. We're having this meeting with Zoom as well as participation in the audience and with Governor Baker's guidelines. So, Jeff, are you in? I don't hear you. Jeff?
I'm here.
You're here? Okay, good. Thank you. Being 7 o'clock, we have any public comments? Ms. Gallivan.
Hello, Joan Gallivan, 9 Cannon Forge Drive. I don't usually come to your meetings. I'm always caring about it, but...
Okay, could you come up and use the mic?
Hi, Joan Gallivan, 9 Cannon Forge Drive. I'm only 2 minutes quick. I don't usually come to the meetings, always care about what you're doing, but I just wanted to say thank you for all your volunteer work. And some of you have been at it for a long time, and it's very appreciated. So congratulations to all of you for what you've given to our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a few minutes before our first official meeting. Jim, do you have some minutes you want to?
I do. I have June 1st, and I have the August 10th. We looked at the June 1st several meetings ago, and the only change that we had was Jeff wanted us to put in when he left the meeting and then came back to the meeting.
Okay.
Which I approximately have him leaving around a little after an hour and then coming back about...
Well, I have it, if you look on page 3 of the last one.
Did you put... Okay.
It says, Mr. Ames left at this point to attend another meeting just before Lamson Road. And then he returned at 9:25 in the middle of the 204 East Street.
That is around the times that I had, yeah. Got to watch the meeting again today. But other than that, for the June 1st, that was the one change I had, or addition.
All right, so you want to make a motion?
I just had a couple typos.
Okay.
So in the Chestnut Street Conservation Trail bridge repair, there's an extra B. He explained that the first bridge is currently tilting and has a gap between the bridge and the land where he will have to get rid of the B, where he will add a new platform. And then at the end of that sentence, I don't really understand, stated that the third bridge is missing several plants.
Planks.
Planks. I didn't know if it was slots. Planks.
Planks.
Okay, planks. Then on the second page, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth paragraph down, culvert needs a T. That's it.
All right. Diane, you all set with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the June 1st, 2020 meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? So moved. And then you had,
August 10th, which was a relatively short meeting.
okay.
I don't know if anybody had any changes, comments? Nope, I didn't either. So I'll make a motion to approve the August 10th, 2020 meeting minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed? None. It's all right. It's been 7:05.
You want me to read them?
Yeah, what, do you have, okay. I think it's just, it's not tight on the base cover there, but.
Foxboro Conservation Commission notice of public hearing pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxboro's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267. The Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, August 10th, 2020 at 7:05 PM in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxboro Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a request for the determination of applicability filed by Clary Coutu, Keolis Commuter Services, to allow vegetation management, control, and maintenance on a railroad right-of-way within Foxboro, within 100 feet of wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office, Town Hall, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. This notice can be also found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
Thank you. Just a little clarification. The date seems to be a little bit off. However, we ran into some technical difficulties with the application, so it's now tonight. So, do we have somebody from Keolis?
Yes, good evening. For the record, my name is Clary Coutu. I'm Director of Environmental Compliance for Keolis. And in anticipation of the future line expansion, if you will, Foxboro pilot, we're adding your jurisdiction to our VMP. And currently we don't execute any VMP activities within your jurisdiction. So today before you is an RDA to cover the review of the resource area maps that will be included as part of the 5-year vegetation management plan that is currently under public comment period with the Department of Agricultural Resources. And I'll leave you with Matt Donovan, who is from FDCE Engineers, and he will provide you with more information. I'll make myself available to answer questions.
Okay, thank you.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Donovan from FTC Engineers. And I was hoping I can start by sharing my screen if that's possible. It seems like it is, so I'm pulling it up right now. I just wanted to show everyone our vegetation management website. If any of you want to stay updated on vegetation management activities, it is included in the RDA submission that we submitted to your commission, and it has the 5-year vegetation management plan, the yearly operational plan, and all the maps for all the towns that the railroad runs through. And I have pulled your map up, which we have submitted to you. So the RDA was submitted as required by CMR 11, as well as specific sections of CMR 10, which require us to submit the delineated maps to confirm that the resource areas are mapped accurately. The requirements are part of a 5-year vegetation management plan, which is designed to manage and control the vegetation necessary to keep the railroad and public safe. As the plan is executed, great measures are taken to keep the sensitive areas protected, and the sensitive area restrictions are described in detail in CMR 11.04, as well as Section 8 of the Vegetation Management Plan. The plan is regulated on all levels from federal to state to municipal, and as part of the 5-year plan, your commission, the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen, and the Department of Agricultural Resources are supplied annually with a yearly operational plan, which is consistent with the 5-year vegetation management plan, but goes into a little more detail about the vegetation management activities each year throughout the duration of the 5-year plan. The vegetation management plan includes an integrated vegetation management approach where chemical application as well as physical and mechanical methods are used to combat the vegetation. Best management practices are used throughout the plan in an effort to limit the chemical application, which has been a main objective for Keolis. The maps that you see on the screen are mainly made for the chemical portion of the plan. They were made with USGS and MassGIS layers to determine the boundaries of the sensitive and protected areas. And we also get a list of private wells from the Department of Agricultural Resources along the railroad. As you can see, there are areas that are depicted as limited and no spray zones, based on the colors, whether they're yellow and blue. And in the field, the railroad tracks are marked with the same color-coded system as you see on these maps, and they correspond to the same location that you see. So as the spray truck performs the application, there's an environmental monitor who is a direct employee of Keolis's environmental team in the truck instructing the operator as necessary. And most importantly, the yellow zones will never be sprayed other than on the track structure itself, which is federally mandated to keep free of vegetation. In the blue zones that you see, these areas will never be sprayed more than the allowed interval, whether it's 1 or 2 years, depending on whether it's dark or light blue, which it seems like it's all just light blue in Foxboro. In these zones, sometimes they're treated like the yellow zones where just the roadbed is sprayed. But if beyond the roadbed, that it's really there's only application beyond the roadbed itself if it really calls for it, and that's on an as needed basis for the most part. And there is more of an effort into controlling these blue zones with mechanical and physical methods. The chemicals that are used are from the Department of Agricultural Resources approved sensitive area material list, which you can find on their website with all the details or in our vegetation management plan. I think that's all I need to say about kind of the process. And like Clary said, this is just in anticipation of taking over the maintenance activities for this line. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I can open the floor up to you.
Yes, I have one primary question. I know in prior years, I've talked to you or your representatives. You put markers down on the tracks to indicate where to spray, not to spray. And I know you've done a lot of track work recently. Have those markers been adequately replaced and maintained?
Clary, do you want me to take this one?
Sure.
So for like we have been saying, we don't currently do the vegetation management activities for this line. Where Keolis is anticipating taking over the maintenance activities. So I would think that once that does happen, whether it's this year or in 3 years or sometime in the 5-year time frame that this vegetation management plan and these maps are approved for, that before Keolis starts the application, that it would be the track would be gone over and made sure that all the markings are in place before the applicator goes out and performs the application.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question. Are the wetlands mapped out there right now?
I'll take
Judy,
this
if
one,
you can
Matt.
Get closer to the mic.
I believe they are, because currently the rail segment that we are running the pilot should have been already part of the VMP of, I think it's Mass Coastal.
I think it's Mass Coastal right now, yes.
So they should be marked. That is something that can be reviewed on site. I'm not sure, Matt, if you had an opportunity to go out there. I know it's been quite difficult. That's the best to my knowledge.
How would the Conservation Commission be able to check the wetland mapping along the railroad?
So have you received VMP mappings before by Mass Coastal?
I don't know, have we?
Yes, we
Yes.
have, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's been
it
a
would
few
be
years
it would be the
since-
same mappings.
I'm just asking because of this guidance, Jane,
I know.
because,
Thank you. I can't make heads or tails of it. I haven't had a chance to look at it
well,
closely.
it appears as though we have to determine if the wetlands are correct.
Yes,
So that's why I'm asking.
but how can you determine a wetland is correct when it's this big?
Well, that's why I'm asking if the wetlands are flagged, and then if there's, I don't know, a way to get out there to check them.
So the wetlands are not delineated on site. We utilize the maps, and the current maps that were utilized for Foxboro, I believe these maps are currently delineations made through USGS and also MassGIS. So what I think it's really important is that the way the colors are aligned to the markings on site is mostly because of the setbacks already identified through MassDAR. So there are different setbacks that identify no spray zones, limited spray zones. So the no spray zones are the yellow areas, and the limited spray zone are the blue areas. So those setbacks are marked up based on the conditions that were observed at some point on site. So what we do with these maps and the different communities is we go to the site and we review the maps and we make sure that the markings are on site. And that's how it's been done for decades. Because your
Could you
community
refresh
is
my-
new to the VMP for Keolis, and we're not anticipating doing any kind of vegetation activity or maintenance in your jurisdiction until there is a final operations plan that is passed on to Keolis. Your current maps with Mass Coastal are the maps that will be used for the yearly operating plan. It's a little bit complicated. We really didn't need to put your community through this year, but because the permit is a 5-year permit and we anticipate that it would be in the near future at some point, we wanted to incorporate your town.
So could you refresh my memory on exactly what color the markers are and exactly where they're located along the tracks? I know, if I recall correctly, they're color-coded for spray, no spray areas?
Correct. There's yellow and there's blue.
And they're
White.
directly on the tracks themselves, either on the rail ties or on the rail itself.
On,
There are certain instances where there are little posts along the side of the along the side of the railroad, but that has been that's more of a dated delineation. So I think it would be directly on the tracks themselves.
Okay, do you realize that they just replaced a significant amount of track, the old track coming up from the Mansfield line up to the new bypass track area? And matter of fact, they just finished doing that like a couple of weeks ago. So if you have any marks or spots on the track and or the plates, that they've been totally wiped.
So usually what they do is they spray paint the areas when they're back. So that's kind of the practice that they followed. I haven't been out there for a while, so I really don't know if that has been done.
So how do you
I
delineate?
know for our lines, for example, the rest of the state of Massachusetts, aside from your jurisdiction, we have developed maps that have georeferenced all the mileposts and also the areas that are yellow and blue. So those are, XY coordinates, and that's something that has been in the process of being added to the asset management system so that the track department and anybody who works in and around the tracks would know exactly where these go, when they're removed, etc. But again, like I said, we don't currently maintain this area, so it would be Mass Coastal. It would be a question for Mass Coastal.
So how would we know that you'd be spraying in the buffer zone area versus a resource area? And you can't tell with these maps that has been supplied. They're just too finite. We need something that's bigger and or marked in the field. The new section where the bypass was put in, we did walk that. A couple of us walked that, and Jane walked it, and we did see the markings up there, but that's from North Street up to the Walpole line. And we do know what those are if they're still up, but everything else south of that, like I said, it's they replaced all the old rails, and they've done a lot of work. And then second question, is there any mechanical type work that's going to be on this line? Besides, you got the spray type, but you got the mechanical type work. And there's nothing in here mentioning about that.
So the RDA that you have in front of you is not to approve the work itself that's being permitted with the state. The RDA that you have in front of you is for the delineations, the maps, the wetland resource area maps as required under 333 CMR 11. And the reason why these maps are at the scale that they are is because this is the requirement under the rights of way management program. So that, I don't know if that answers your question, but in terms of the activities that happen along this line, like I said, it's not currently part of the program that we manage. But you can anticipate with any railroad going through here that they need to maintain the setbacks of vegetation so that it doesn't interfere with operations. So that being said, the right-of-way needs to be completely clear of vegetation along the roadbed. Mostly that's where the chemical applications are conducted. However, so in areas where vegetation might encroach the shoulders and or the right-of-way, there is a requirement to ensure that there are no potential safety hazards by the trees that may fall along the tracks or may interrupt service by falling on communication lines, etc. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
It answers the question, but it begs the question, it's very difficult for us to determine where you have indicated the wetlands are versus where they are. It's with this, as David pointed out, the scale is not that close. So that's the reason why I'm very concerned about the markings, what type of markings you have on the tracks to indicate that, so.
Nobody is objecting to the necessity of the work, that, the railroad needs to be cleared of vegetation. We need to approve the wetland line or your wetland maps. And so I think some kind of field trip is in order here, similar to what went on in the northern part of on the tracks, to make sure the lines are there.
So one of the inconveniences that we've had with COVID-19 is that we currently don't do high rail trips with people. Now, my question for you would be the following. If I can have Matt go out there with the track department to do the high rail and photo document where these are in relations to your resource areas, would that suffice?
It would be a lot better than what we have at the present time, so.
Okay.
Jane, do you have any input?
My only input would be that I'm assuming that you're familiar with the guidance
Yes.
document right now, and what it
Yes.
suggests. I do know from looking at this that there are several areas that don't appear to be covered. One in particular is just south of Elm Street and north of Spring Street. There are a lot of wetlands in that area, a lot of vernal pools, and I don't believe that they were included on this. And also, I too would like to get out and see where these are marked, because this, even with, you could use a microscope and you still wouldn't be able to tell what it is
I
showing,
know,
really.
unfortunately, that's the scale of the maps that we are required to use, but what area are we talking about?
In particular, the area I'm
here?
particularly concerned about is the area that is north of Spring Street and south of Elm Street.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Matt, on this?
Where all these markings are, I believe.
I think it's closer to Spring Street, actually. I don't know where you are right now.
So this is Spring Street where my cursor is.
Where's
And
your
then if you go
cursor? I don't
north
see your cursor. Oh, okay.
towards Elm Street, you have these waterways, which is a big several no spray zones as well as limited spray zones.
All right, so it does say west side only, and there's an extensive amount of those wetlands on the east side that's just north of Spring Street. All of the wetlands in that area are really sensitive in their vernal pools.
Are those proposed vernal pools, or are they?
They're
existing
certifiable.
vernal pools?
I don't know if they've been certified, but I've seen them in the spring, and they
Okay.
are in fact vernal pools.
So one thing we could have mentioned is these maps do get submitted to the NHESP for review every year. That will be included with these maps now that we do them, and we do have a layer showing the vernal pools. These green dots here.
Does it show potential vernal pools?
Does it show what?
The potential vernal pool, I can't talk. Potential vernal pool layer, say that 3 times.
No, that's not included here.
All right, well, they are in fact vernal pools over there, and so I would not recommend approving that delineation in that area, because I know how environmentally sensitive they are. Also up
Right.
near the, between North Street and Chestnut Street, Crack Rock Pond. It crosses Crack Rock Pond in a couple of locations, and I believe that said no spray on the west side only, and there's a heck of a lot of water on the
Both sides.
east side as well. So there are a lot of things that just don't add up here that really need to be reviewed more closely.
Yeah, so right now they're delineated as the Department of Agricultural Resources right-of-way management plan allows you to delineate them as far as the setbacks go. I do believe in this section of railroad, it's a wide right-of-way, and the track isn't in this particular section isn't centered on the right-of-way. So when you do the setbacks, what's likely happening here is that the is on the west side, and when you do the setback from the track, it doesn't hit the wetlands on the east side, which is what these notes are for.
Actually, on that's not accurate, I don't believe, especially if another rail is to be added. There is pond on both sides, and as a matter of fact, it's particularly polluted, and it doesn't need any additional help to get worse.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a pond on both sides.
So
It says
let
no
me ask
spray
you
west side
something.
only.
The maps that were approved for Mass Coastal, are they different from these?
I don't know, but we're reviewing these.
Yeah, no, these are the
I
same.
understand.
These are the same as Mass Coastal.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Then
Yep.
they were missed last time, if that's the case.
How
Right,
long,
and when was Mass Coastal approved, Matt?
I think in 2016, and they should be I think this is the same renewal process year for them as well. I'm not positive on that though.
Okay.
How long ago were the resources delineated in the field? Or are we basing this on very old information?
They don't do it in the field. Yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, these were done at some point in the field. Wetlands, don't change every year, but when they do, or when changes happen, every year you have an opportunity to come back during the 45-day comment period in the yearly operating plan process to notify us if there's any change, a new vernal pool, a new private well, or any other changes that you might anticipate would be important to note. And that's a right that the Conservation Commission, the Board of Health, and the Board of Selectmen of your jurisdiction, of your town, have every year and every 5 years. So this process happens every 5 years, and every year thereafter, you can still come back to us and tell us if there are changes that you would like to review. So the process is quite inclusive of your community, and the comments currently, the public comment period ends on October 9th for the VMP as a whole. So I think two things. I think for clarity purposes, we're not intended or, obligated yet to do any kind of maintenance activities in your town. That will only happen when the contract has been extended to Keolis, which we don't know if it's even going to happen. It's too preliminary to actually understand what's going to happen, especially with the COVID-19 conditions and reduced service. So currently the map that we have in front of you is the map that you approved for Mass Coastal in 2016. The only time we would begin any kind of maintenance activities along your right-of-way, along our right-of-way within your town would be that Mass Coastal is no longer doing the activities, and you would be receiving a yearly operating plan directly from us, indicating that we will begin doing the mechanical and herbicide applications in your jurisdiction. It's kind of confusing. It's the best that we can do.
I think determining whether these wetlands are accurate or not is not confusing. It's simple. And the commission is telling you that they don't think that it's accurate, and it doesn't matter who's coming before them, whether it's the Mass Coastal or you, the wetlands are not accurate.
Okay. And I agree that that's what you meant. And I proposed that we can have somebody high rail and document those, photo document them for you. We can't have people high railing these days, but we can do that.
And I'd also like to make sure that the markings are on either the tracks or on the ties or somewhere identifiable.
Absolutely, they have to be.
Okay.
So I guess point of order is there's a 21-day requirement
Yeah.
to issue a determination.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not supposed to be extended, although during the state of emergency, essentially everything is told until 45 days after the end of the state of emergency, and I don't think it's ended yet.
No.
So this COVID is complicating things. It almost sounds like we're jumping the gun doing this. If nothing is definite yet, and the Mass Coastals does not need to be renewed until 2021.
Okay.
So, I don't know what to tell you as far as, you're not supposed to extend these. That's the bottom line.
When you say we're not supposed to extend these, you mean what in particular?
You're not supposed to extend a request for determination. The determination
Should be
is
done all in one.
supposed to be issued within 21 days of filing. That said, in theory, it could be told, but that just gets too complicated. So I think the easiest way to do it would simply to do a 2B, boundaries, resource areas are not confirmed. I don't think
Okay.
you have any other option, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's what you're comfortable with, with coming for issuing as a determination, that's fine. It has been continued several times. These were dated July 25th, so it has been well past the.
It was
21.
incomplete before. And I believe a 21-day waiver was signed.
Yeah.
No, you have 21 days from the moment that the application is submitted.
The
to
complete
issue a Form
application.
2.
It was
Right,
not
and
it was
even
not
since-
complete.
Even since that, the second submission, there has been a waiver. We signed a waiver for the 21 day.
Right.
But
So I don't see that being a technicality, but I do agree that, if you're uncomfortable with signing off on the RDA for this work, it's up to you.
It's not for the work, though, it's for the delineation, so it gets kind of
Correct.
messed up.
Right.
So if it's the delineation and it's not reviewable or easy to determine, and in a very small scale, doesn't matter what requirements, right-of-way requirements are or whatever, it seems to me that the commission should probably just issue a 2B, positive 2B for this filing.
Okay.
And just for the record, Mass Coastal has the absolute same maps, and they did receive an RDA in 2016, just for the record.
Yes, but this is a revision, just for the record.
Yep.
This is not a revision. This is a new RDA with the existing maps. This is not a revision.
4
for
years
you.
later. Yeah, I'm fine with issuing a positive and having them come back after we
Yep. Okay.
have a chance to confirm our delineations.
Before I call for a vote, any comments from the audience? Ms. Galvin, could you use the mic just so everybody can hear?
Joan Gallivan, 9 Cannon Forge Drive. I forgot my hearing aid, so I've been struggling to hear everybody. And I can't hear this woman when she dies off at the end. So I missed a lot of it. I'll check with your secretary and perhaps your conservation manager afterwards.
Okay.
I'm here because I am part owner of a condominium that is on the railroad. And where they have a right-of-way, I don't know what I haven't heard, is it 10 feet that they have on both sides?
I don't know.
Anyone know what that
Depends
is?
upon the,
What's the right-of-way you have on each side? Does anyone
It
know?
varies. It depends on where you're situated. The property
Well-
lines are not similar to utility lines where the easement is precise.
There's the rocks on the railroad underneath, right where your names are. The rock, the new rocks under the tracks.
Yeah,
End
okay.
up right there. We have cars parked right here. I left a whole lot of trees on our land to block us from them. But we're down at the Elm Street Business Center across from the highway garage. And the back of our land is actually conservation land. The brook goes underneath there. What's
No, well-
the name of the brook?
Robinson?
Robinson
Mr.
Brook? Goes underneath. So we own, whatever you own on each side of the brook. Besides, we never use that land, go back there, and just let the animals take over and whoever back there. But we have property, large property, of condominiums there. A big 10,000 square foot building, and then a 28,000 square foot building. And as I say, we would put the parking away from our building and away from the homes behind us. So we have, actually, the parking is all along there, but we can see it through the trees and so forth. And we do have some partial conservation land. Some of my concerns are more than the conservation land. And I just want to, just quickly, someone tell me, do they go before the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Health as well? Or is that just a checkoff that
I'm not sure.
they're doing when they kept mentioning Board of Health, Board of Selectmen? No one knows whether
I don't
there's any
think
other
they do.
board that,
Is the question,
She mentioned those in that they
the
have
spray?
jurisdiction over this area, I
okay,
believe.
well, I'll try to follow up there because it is a little bit more than what conservation is, but we definitely have the railroad go right over Robinson Brook.
Yep.
And so it goes underneath it some way, shape, or form, or I don't know how it gets through there. But anyway, so they were talking about spraying. Well, the other part of the vegetation management that it's not so much under your control, and I'll try to be not too long, but is when they take care of that vegetation. And they've done this, I've had the property a little over 25 years. And so I've seen this a couple of times, and I swore I was going to try to find out how to stop this the next time. But they take some machine like they do on the highways, and they mangle every branch of every tree all along the way. And they left hanging, mangled. They haven't taken anything away, just mangled them. And then they hang there and they look, it's horrible for the town. And they go through people's backyards, the train does, and over some conservation lands. And maybe it takes 2.5 to 3 years to grow in and like cover that up. But it never gets cut down. It just hangs there, mangled, horrible. And it goes right through the center of town here. That line does, and people's backyards. And it's just horrible. So on a highway where people go fast by it, you don't see it so much. But when it's in the center of our town and we go right through the center there, I know it's not under your jurisdiction, but just be aware of this, that this is, it's destroying our conservation land as well in the way they do that. So I'm hoping that there might be some monitoring of this or some way to make sure that it doesn't become this terrible mess of the land, destroying it, the way they have to cut this stuff down. There's got to be some follow-up. So I'm very concerned about that because it is something that has had me upset for the first 10 years, and I couldn't get in whatever it was that they had the first time. Second time I saw it, I've been harboring this for 10 years. So I've been waiting for something to show up. And fortunately, I opened the paper, which is so small nowadays, and happened to see this there. I said, oh God, thank you for letting me know about this. So this has been bothering me a long time. So if it can be incorporated in any way on the conservation part of it.
May I comment, Mr.
Who's talking to
Chairman?
me?
May I comment to the neighbor?
She's on the screen, Joan. Yes. Yes, go ahead, Larry.
Yes. I am so sorry that you had to experience this. Unfortunately, I don't have any control over the current jurisdiction of the tracks. I will have a control over what's going to happen there if the tracks fall under our operation and maintenance program. One of the things we do, and this is really an effort not only to manage more sensibly the vegetation controls along the right-of-way, is that we have to understand what property boundaries are and also determine the best approach, whether it's brush control or if it's tree control or chemical control. And we're always going to assess this the year before and plan for the year moving forward. Now, as a community member, you can also participate from the yearly operating plan 45-day comment period. So you can ask DAR all the questions you have about the chemicals and the vegetation controls that are going to happen every year. So that's one of the rights you have as a community member, and it's important that you know that. Also, it's really important that all of you know that if there is any kind of concern with the chemicals that are being applied, or if there is a complaint from a neighbor that says that the chemical application was incorrectly done or it crossed over to their property, the Department of Agriculture will conduct an investigation. And there is a process that you need to follow to communicate with them. So these are the things that are incorporated in our VMP, and those that can be found in the website that Matt shared with you at the beginning of this session.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Somebody want to make a motion?
Thank you.
Are you finished?
Yes, so is there going to be a separate application for the other vegetation management? Like, apparently, this was
No.
very specialized as to spraying only?
Yes.
Okay. So, but the other is not involved at this point?
Not with us, no. It's
Okay.
not conservation issue.
Well, they won't let you know when they're going to do that to the trees, even when they do it to the
Yeah,
conservation land?
they'll have, it'll be all done at the same time, I'm assuming, so yeah, we'll
So you'll
know.
be approving the whole vegetation management if and when, yeah. Okay,
Down the line.
thank you.
Someone want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to issue a positive determination on the MBTA right away through Foxboro RFD. Jane, which,
2B?
2B?
Yeah, 2B, the boundaries of resource areas I crossed out listed below are not confirmed by this determination regardless of whether such boundaries are contained on the plans attached to this determination or the request for determination.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Thank you very much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
It's being only 7:10, okay. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxboro's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, September 21st, 2020 at 7:10 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxboro Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Timothy Boudreau for the installation of an in-ground swimming pool at 100 Beach Street, Assessors Map 13, Parcel 003, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection at Town Hall.
He's on Zoom.
Are you on, sir?
He is on the right.
I am, thank you.
Okay. Would you like to explain what you'd like to do?
Yep, so we're looking to have a in-ground pool installed in our backyard. Excuse me, I was asked to come in front of the commission due to its proximity to the wetlands that are behind my home. We're looking to obviously, be sensitive to, what we've seen on the maps that are on file with the town. And we're hoping that you will approve us to move forward with the planning and construction of an in-ground swimming pool.
Okay, did Jane?
Bob and I went to see this today, and the work is proposed in an area that is surrounded by fence, and it's a yard. So I think that it would qualify for a negative determination. It's, the fence, I think, is shown on the old, well, it's shown on the plan that he submitted, and he said that was his boundary. That was the boundary, rather, of what pool was going to be inside the fenced-in area, so I think it's going to be fine.
Did anybody else get out there by any chance? Okay. Yeah, I concur with Jane. Everything is inside the fenced-in yard that's already there, so I would recommend a negative determination. Somebody like to make that motion, please?
Just one question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jane, they're using hay bales here as part of erosion control. I thought hay bales aren't being used anymore.
I think that's an old plan.
Oh,
That's just what they used to show where the pool would be,
okay.
but he has a good point. We don't use hay bales anymore, except you could probably deal with it with silt, just a silt fence.
It's pretty level
pretty
there,
flat.
yeah.
It's pretty flat. Bottom line is, no silt should get into the wetlands, and I don't think there'd be a problem. But putting a silt fence along the back fencing, chain link fence would probably be a good idea.
Okay.
And is the pool going to be installed as they have it beyond the 50-foot boundary?
That is correct. That is the intention of the plan,
Yeah.
yes.
Are we removing all the fill that you're going to be taking out? Do you taking it off-site?
Yes, yep.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to issue a negative determination on the 100 Beach Street project.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay.
Might want to explain to him negative. Might want to explain to him what a negative is.
Yes. By the way, a negative determination is a good thing in your case.
Negative.
Thank you. Some of this is quite new to me, so no, I appreciate that.
Enjoy your pool. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
More than welcome. Okay, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxboro's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, September 21, 2020, at 7:15 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxboro Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Suzanne Walker for the replacement of a failed septic system at 79 Ridge Road, Assessors Map 034, Parcel 014, with 100 feet of wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection at the Town Hall. Conservation Office.
Excuse me.
Mr. Buckley.
How's it going, everyone?
Good.
Good.
For the record, my name is Cameron Gray. So tonight I'm here discussing the request for determination of applicability for the repair of a failed septic system at 79 Ridge Road. So 79 Ridge Road is an existing lot. It contains a one-story, two-bedroom home. The existing septic system is located in the rear of the home. It's shown right here in the blue. So the existing system consists of a 1,000-gallon tank, and it feeds into a single leaching line. Currently, the existing system sits about 30 feet from the banks of the Neponset Reservoir. This lot is also partially located within the floodplain. So the floodplain's been calculated and is represented here in the blue. So for our proposed system, it will consist of a 1,500-gallon septic tank on the side of the building here, which will feed into a 1,000-gallon pump chamber. And then it will be pumped up to the leaching field located in the front of the home here. So we've already been before the Board of Health and this design has been approved. So the proposed work out here would consist of the pumping, crushing, and filling of the existing septic tank, and then the construction of the new system. So before construction begins, the erosion control will be set in place, and that's represented on our plan right here along the lot line by that red line. And the erosion control will consist of a 12-inch silt sock. And so for this, we're not adding any bedrooms to the home, and there's no additions being added to the home. It's just a new septic system. And that concludes my presentation.
Just one quick question. What's the distance between the leaching field and Ridge Road?
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the leaching field is 134 feet, or off Ridge Road, you said?
Off Ridge Road, yes.
Off Ridge Road, so off the property line, it's located 4 feet.
4 feet?
Yep,
So you've got a variance from the Board of Health?
yes.
Okay. Putting that in my little memory box.
Okay.
Another project. Okay.
So I just drove by there today, and so there's a garage, a little shed or something.
Yep.
So is that going to be removed, or is that going to stay? Looks like on your plan, it looks like it's in Ridge Road.
Yeah, so the homeowner informed us that that's actually not even her shed. So the shed is gonna have to be moved for us to do the strip out for the leaching field up top.
Okay,
And I'm not sure the plans for the shed though.
okay. Okay, well, I just wouldn't want it to be placed down here or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, from the, I was there today, from the existing house, it's like 18 feet back to where it slopes down steeply towards the water. And you've got the existing house, or the new house, extending, how far beyond the current house are you going towards the water?
We're not adding anything to the house, so it's just staying existing.
Is he looking at the right one?
No. It's a proposed,
Oh, where, you're looking
you're
at,
looking at, I
this
think
an
you're
old-
looking at the Neponset Heights. This is the
Oh.
Ridge
this is
Road.
Ridge Road,
all right.
wrong
sorry.
plan.
No problem.
Quick point of question. So it's 1,500 gallon tank getting pumped uphill into a 1,000 gallon tank, then going to the leaching field, is that correct?
No, so it's gotta be, the 15-gallon tank has got a gravity feed into the pump chamber, and then it will be pumped uphill to the leaching field.
So this is going to be an electric pump that's moving the water going in that direction, is that correct?
Yeah, so
So worst case scenario, if it's like a really bad storm, power goes out for numbers of days, which it does in Foxboro sometimes, which way is the water going to flow?
well, I mean, for this system, per Title V, it tells us that we need to design at least a day's flow capacity. So we have more than enough capacity in the system to hold that. And so, I mean, it could be up to the discretion of the homeowner if they want to get a generator to allow them to continue the pump. But per Title V, we have more than enough capacity for them to be able to function.
Got it, okay.
Okay. My only other question is, how are you going to crush and get rid of the old tank?
I believe that the contractor is going to take care of that.
I guess my concern is getting equipment down in front of the house and around to any disturbance of the land in front of between the house and the water.
Bill, don't those concrete structures are pretty tough to crush. Don't they fill them in with sand after they pump them?
Yeah, so typically what will happen is this is probably an old one because it's 1,000 gallons, so it's probably from the 60s. So it's probably not reinforced. He's just gonna go in there with his machine and he's gonna break it and then fill it in with either sand or some type of material. And then he'll throw some loam on top of it. So he's not gonna take it out. He's just gonna crush it,
Yeah, okay.
fill it in and leave it there. But you're right, they're gonna have to come around the back. That's a common driveway, so he'll come around that way and go around the back. There's really no other way to do that. I don't know what other solution would be. There is a big tree back there, though, that he'll have to work around.
Now, I just wonder, do you have to crush it if you just fill it with sand?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to keep big equipment from getting it, doing too much disturbance back there.
Yeah, I suppose you could try. I think it would be difficult to fill it. I mean, I don't know how you get the sand back there without, it's one way or another.
Manual labor.
Yeah, right, some guy with a wheelbarrow. I mean, we could extend the erosion control across the back there to make sure that nothing goes that way.
Okay.
Make a note of that.
Well, he'd have to drive over your erosion control just to get there, though.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go back there first and do it, and then he can finish putting up his erosion control. Really, that driveway is a common driveway, they both use it, so it's not gonna be there until we actually get in there. So if I was him, we'd have to put the erosion control along the back, go in, pump, crush, and fill, and then put the rest of the erosion control and build it that way.
Bob, that'd be probably a good idea, get
Yeah.
erosion control in the flats.
Yeah.
And then they can add to it when they start the bigger project.
Yeah, what we can do is put a note, we can put a note on the plan to give him a sequence,
Okay.
so that he knows, do this first, then this, and we'll add that to it.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Jeff, are you, you're hiding behind the screen there.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
Yep.
Good. Peter?
It's definitely a net positive.
I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Jim?
Nope.
David?
Nope.
Somebody want to make a negative determination? As I always
I'll
say.
make that motion, Bob,
replace-
for negative determination.
What's that, Jeff?
Jeff's making a determination.
Yep. That's 79 Ridge Road.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. Souza.
Throwing things at me.
Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxboro's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, September 21, 2020, at 7:20 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxboro Town Hall, 40 South Street, a request for determination of applicability filed by River Ridge Holden LLC for the construction of a single-family home, utilities, and driveway at 2 Souza Avenue, Assessors Map 123, Parcel 008, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection at the Conservation Town Office at Town Hall. Mr. Buckley.
So, good evening again, everyone. For the record, my name's Cameron Gray. So I'm here to discuss the request for determination of applicability for 2 Souza Ave, which is Lot 1 of the River Ridge subdivision. So the River Ridge subdivision was reviewed and approved by the commission, and an order of conditions was already issued in November of 2019. So Lot 1 is located on the southern side of Souza Ave, and it's the first lot on the right after you turn off Belcher Road, located over here. So I know you guys are all familiar with the site, and if you haven't been out there lately, Souza Ave has the binder course laid on it. All of the proposed drainage has been installed, and these beginning lots have all been stripped. So tonight I'm here to discuss the additional work that's going to take place within the 100-foot buffer. So that wasn't already outlined under the existing order of conditions. So the additional work is the construction of this driveway located just inside the 100-foot buffer here, and also the grass located over here between the drainage basin and the 100-foot buffer. So per the order of conditions already, we have a silt sock and construction fence around the whole perimeter, as well as along this 25-foot no disturbance zone. So, and also, like I was saying, the drainage has been installed. So I don't believe any additional control will be needed for the construction of the driveway or the grass. So we believe that a negative request for a determination would be appropriate because of the limited amount of work taking place outside of what has already been approved per the existing order of conditions. And that concludes my presentation.
Jane, you have a comment or two, I do believe.
Well, you could say it too. I was wondering on this one, I agree with what you say. It does qualify for a negative determination, but the order of conditions seems to me, let me back up. It abuts the detention basin at the beginning of the road, which has not been completed or stabilized. I did drive by there today, and it looks like it's been sprayed. In addition, the entire site is open and subject to erosion, which is in violation of the subdivision infrastructure's filing order of conditions. It says, no disturbed soils shall be left unprotected for longer than 14 days. And then all disturbed areas should be graded, loamed, and seeded prior to November 1st. And upon completion of final grade of all stormwater basins, applicant shall submit an engineer stamped progress print to ensure that they are constructed according to the approved plans.
Jane, could you get closer to the mic, please?
Sorry. So my comment would be, shouldn't these be addressed before a house is started?
Well, was it a condition that we had to do it before a house was started? I don't recall.
I don't believe it was.
We can, I mean, I can definitely, I was out there today, I did a sidewalk today. The loam piles, you know, the big huge piles,
Everywhere.
they've been sprayed, they're stabilized, they actually have grass all growing them.
What loam piles are those?
The massive ones on the left as you come in,
Wait, as you're making the turn, if you keep going straight, instead of making the turn, you.
Oh, those.
Those.
Oh, on the road, near the road?
Yes, on the left side as you
What
come
I'm
in.
saying is the whole site is, and unless and until, the you know, if the erosion comes down, obviously it's outside the commission's jurisdiction, but it seems to me it would be smart to stabilize that site somehow, some way.
Yeah, and it's difficult because of the amount of fill we had to bring in to do it. And right now, they're getting ready, they've got, I think, 3 or 4. There's 4 houses they're getting ready to put in, so it'll be lots 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right side. So, and I know they're working on the second road, which I can't remember the name of it is. What is it?
Barrows.
Oh, Barrows, right. So Barrows, they're working on that right now. Let's me and you talk. I'll give you a call tomorrow or
Sure.
Wednesday. And maybe we could take a walk out there. We'll call Bobby Baker.
I think it would be nice, too, if you could put together, since the stormwater basin's final grade has been
Yep,
done.
They're done.
If you could, just in compliance with the order of conditions, number 43,
Do a red line as-built? Yes, that's a
I
good idea.
guess that's stamp progress print, red line as-built, is that the same thing?
Yep, and it's a good idea, which we would be doing anyways, because what we want to do is shoot all the elevations of the drainage and stuff to make sure that it's at the correct elevation before they do final paving, which is always a problem. So if you just make a note, we can do that, and we could talk about that tomorrow too. The
And
timeline.
I don't know if the commission would want to make that a condition of the negative determination that, that needed to be submitted prior to, they're starting that.
I think that would be acceptable, that's fine. Well, before you sign off on the building permit, right? Is that what we're talking off? We have to give
Actually,
you-
that's true, I wasn't even thinking of that.
we'll give you the red line or the
That'd be good.
progress print.
That'd be good, yeah, just kind of like added insurance and stuff, 'cause you don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Nope, that's fine.
Yeah. You got those half domes there blocking the road. Are those easily moved? Because I got that far and,
Those are for turtles.
Those are for turtles.
Oh,
So
that's
he
it.
has to push them at the end of the workday. He
okay,
puts them back,
okay.
and then,
I was out there over the weekend, so.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they are, I think they're easy to move, aren't they?
Turtle Tunnel?
Oh, I think so, they're empty, they're like Coltech
Yeah, I've never,
Yeah, okay.
tubes. Those probably are gonna be moot after a couple frosts. I can't imagine there will be any movement
okay.
after that, and
All
it
right.
probably is stated in the conservation and management permit, I don't know, though, offhand.
So, question I have, Bill, are we going to have the same problems here because of the silty fill type soils and running off into these drainage systems like we had down the street, down there? That subdivision there where,
Oh, London Estates?
yeah, with the,
Good point.
with just, every time it rained, you just, that one,
Catch basin?
not only the catch basin, but
Catch basins.
the detention area,
Oh,
just kept filling up with silt and
Yeah.
overflowing into the wetlands afterwards.
so that's a different beast. That was a wet basin. So it's the same things here, though. We have silt sacks. They just have to be maintained, but stuff still gets through them. But these are dry basins. And so, I was talking to Baker about this today. When they built these basins, they've built them, the way they're laid out right now, they're 12 inches deeper than they're gonna end up being. Because just what you just said is during construction, all this stuff is going in them. So he has to maintain that, and then when the site is stabilized, or that portion of the site is stabilized, he'll clean the muck out of the bottom, and then he'll bring in the 12 inches of sand and bioretention mix, sand, loam, and whatever the soil is there. So that's how we're gonna handle that there, but it's really a maintenance issue, you're right. They have to just keep on top of it.
And it's basically being used as a temporary siltation basin for all of the runoff, probably, right?
No, you can't do that because it will kill it. That's the problem with these detention basins. You can't have them,
The silt.
yes, you can't let the silt go in there. Matter of fact, if you read the detail I always put in there is I'm very, I'm telling the contractor, you can't let silt go in there. You're responsible for making sure silt doesn't go in there. And if you do let silt go in there, you're responsible for making sure that you restore the permeability. So no, we can't use those as siltation basins.
Is there a temporary basin type of thing for that? Because I noticed the water was really rushing down the side of the paved area, and it looked like it was accumulating pretty much at the street.
At the catch basins, there's 2 catch basins down there.
It looked like a slightly deeper depression down there, but it does look like things are not functioning quite right, obviously.
Well, what happens is that area right now, Nick and I were talking about this, so you're coming down from Souza, and you hit Belcher Road, and if you go down and look at it next time you're down there, you'll see both of those catch basins they're low. So there's probably a 1 or 2 inch lip up to Belcher Road. And so what's happening too there is now Belcher Road is actually feeding into that for the moment, which it's not going to at the end of construction.
I'm talking about the stuff that was ripping down along the side of the paved area, Souza Road. You can tell, you can see where it's eroded.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about going down into there.
Well, going down from the hillside for Souza, not coming from Belcher. I didn't notice that. All I noticed that it was pretty well eroded, probably a week ago, 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, on the
Well,
side.
When we go take a look this week, when you and I go out there, we'll take a look at it with Baker, and if it's eroding and he hasn't backfilled it, I know he hadn't finished backfilling, then we'll make sure he puts something there to keep the water on the road. I know we had that issue over on Lawson Farm, too. on that
But
big
where
steep
is,
road.
where is the water going, though? Where is it being detained?
Into the catch basins.
That's all?
Yep. So that goes into the catch basins. They're deep sump catch basins, 4-foot sump, 4-foot diameter, and that's what they're designed to do, is to, take the heavy particulates, drop them to the bottom, and just let the water go out. And you have the silt sacks which are stopping it too. It's not perfect,
Okay.
but
okay.
it's what we do, you know, there's really no other way to do it.
I don't
especially
think I
in that-
realized that you didn't use the detention basin as a temporary settling basin during construction.
No, and if anybody ever tells you that that's what it is on their plan, you tell them that's against the DEP stormwater standards.
Okay.
You can't use an infiltration basin as a silt basin. If it was a detention basin that it was never gonna get infiltration, yeah, you don't care. But anything that's gonna infiltrate, you can't put silt into it because it's gonna kill it. And both of the basins on that side are infiltration basins.
Right, I know that. Okay, interesting. Learn something new every day.
So just one last question. It doesn't relate to this, but Bill, what's the status of all the bounds that we asked to be put in on all these lots and that easement that I think that fourth house is gonna be going up against, that goes to the back?
We're still talking about River Ridge, right?
Right,
All the bounds and all the signs are in.
okay.
On all of the land, the whole 75 acres, they're all in. They were installed, we took pictures of them, already getting ripped out it's unbelievable.
They're already getting ripped out?
Already getting ripped out. Within the subdivision, only along the back of the lots, those are in. But the interior bounds are not. So like, I know what you're talking about, like, I think it's between lots 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, there's the access where the white
Right,
area is.
right.
Like, those bounds aren't in, because they're just gonna get destroyed, but in the back, they're all in.
Okay.
So we can give you a plan, I don't know, Jane might have it, but I know we sent it to National Heritage. That
Yeah, I
shows
do
all
have
the
it.
plans and all the,
So what happens if they're ripping out the bounds?
no, they're not ripping the bounds out, they ripped the signs out.
Oh,
They were ripping the
lovely.
signs out.
Where
Yeah.
are they getting in now? Mr. Hastings had said that he would put large boulders in all the openings.
Well, we could talk to Bobby about that. You know, he has a little Bobcat that he was using to put in all the signs.
Okay.
So maybe we can do that too, at some future point.
I was
reason I
hoping
a-
that this was going to close everything off, but I think they're probably getting in, if nothing else, from the Mason Place side.
Well, they're gonna be blocked off soon by that house on Cocasset.
I know, that'll be
Subdivision
awesome.
is blocked off, so I mean, it's,
They'll find a way, but we
right, but
can,
it's not gonna be as easy. They're not gonna be,
No.
good.
The reason why I asked Bill is that don't see any bounds on this red line here on your plan.
yeah, there's no bounds on this. We're
They
not
haven't
showing
been.
any. No. No, this plan right here, this is just like a cartoon for you guys to look at.
Right.
And I can just make a note.
Yeah.
I'll send to Jane, and she can forward to you guys the locations of all the bounds, all the signs,
On this particular lot?
on the entire project that we've set already.
All right.
No,
The as-built plan will have it'll include the bounds?
It'll be a separate plan. We've already done it and sent it to National Heritage, so I'll just send it to you.
No, I mean, for each lot. The bounds should be shown on the as-built plan for each lot, so that when people purchase the property and they see that plan, they're going to say, oh, what are these bounds?
Yeah, the thing is we don't set the bounds till the very end. So we do the as-built as the houses are built, but the bounds, we just don't set them until like just before the,
Is there any way you could? Because that's a hard thing to trace in the future.
well, it's a problem because of the construction, you know, especially near the roads, because
Oh, I'm talking about the back.
I think all the back bounds are in.
Each house, for each house lot?
Every bound that we showed on the National Heritage and on the plan that we did for the commission approved,
Okay.
along the back is in.
The back corners of each lot?
I'm not sure it's every corner, but along a lot of the back of the lots, yes.
Because I don't want to have to deal with people saying, oh, I didn't know my property didn't go back another 40 feet.
We can walk that, again, I mean, when we do set all the bounds, we walk that with Norm Mulaney. 'cause he
Well,
went-
having it traceable is what I'm getting at, so that, you know, when someone comes to me and says, oh, I didn't know that I had that because it's not on my mortgage plan or my as-built plan,
Right.
that's a problem.
It's on his mortgage plan because it's the plan that you guys approved, and we showed it on each of them. They're all proposed at that time, so,
Okay.
I mean,
I just want it traceable is what I'm getting at, yeah.
understand.
Okay.
Is just Is the easement up by Lot 4 been stripped, or is it vegetated?
It's not an easement, it's ownership.
Ownership,
And it's not
okay.
been stripped. So when you
Okay.
drive up, if you go up there, you'll see it, it's stripped, correct, trees, stripped.
Okay.
Good. Anything else? Someone want to make a motion? Oh. Okay. Negative determination
I'll make a motion, issue a negative determination.
with the stipulation that you mentioned, Jane.
So -3, and 6 and 6A, so with the following conditions that, whatever it's called, number 43, I think it is. Engineer stamped progress print of the detention basin be submitted prior to commencement of construction.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Opposed?
Aye.
None. Thank you very much. Okay. We have a continuation of, let's see, what was is it 598?
Yeah, 598. They just got their number today. That's a new one. By Springbrook.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was a continuation. All right, that's right. All right, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxboro's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, September 21, 2020, at 7:25 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxboro Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a notice of intent filed by Robert Green of G. Green Properties LLC for landscape modifications and additional parking and storage at 5 Springbrook Road, Assessors Map 094, Parcel 018. Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. Application available for public inspection. The Conservation Office Town Hall, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4, and Publishers Warehouse. Mr. Buckley.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. For the record, my name is Bill Buckley from Bay Colony Group. And we're here this evening to present notice of intent for the property at 5 Springbrook Road. So this property, and ignore the 2007 down in the corner there. This piece of property is a 2.6 acre parcel of land. It's on the south side of Springbrook Road. Right over here on where my pointer is, this is East Belcher Road, and then of course beyond that is 95. So we're probably about 200 feet in from the intersection. The first building is Arthur Rounds' building, and then the next one is this building. So this was part of the subdivision that was approved back in the 90s. This site was constructed in 1994 under an order of conditions issued by the commission. And in March 2020, the current owner, the previous owner was, I think it was Jeff Granger. He was an auto body shop.
Yeah.
So the new owner is G Green Properties, and what he does is he's a heavy equipment. He's a contractor, and he does stuff. But what he's using this facility for is storage of his vintage equipment. So if you've ever been down there, if you had a chance to drive down there, you can see he's got some stuff on display outside. He's got old things.
Gas pumps.
Yeah, and if you look inside, he's got old vintage equipment that he's rehabilitated. So it's not a garage anymore, although it's a garage, but it's not an operating garage. So he went down there and did some work, and without filing with the commission. But then you guys came down and talked to him, and he filed a request for determination in March for the work he did and then some of the work proposed. And my understanding was he had talked to the members and to Jane about it. And you wanted him to come back and show how he was going to do some modifications to the site to mitigate some of the work he did. So some of the work he did was widening. He widened the driveway, the main driveway coming in. He did some widening down here, as I understand it, along the back, the south side of the garage, and along the left side of the garage, as you look at it from this. He gravelled that area as well. So what he did is he did some alterations within the 100-foot buffer zone. And what that did is that triggered the stormwater review, and what I've done down there is taken what he told me, and I know it's kind of hard to see. I'll show it to you. There's a large pile of boulders and stuff back in here, in this area here, and this area has all been cleared. You can see, I know it's hard to see, but you can see the tree line here, and then the tree line kind of goes up in this area as well. He's put an erosion control fence in that area, almost all of it, I think all of it is, outside the 25-foot no disturb zone. So the erosion control is already in place from here all the way to here. There's no additional work proposed, and there's no more tree knocking down or clearing proposed. What we're proposing is, this area is kind of bare, this area is bare, and this area is bare. So what he wants to do is, this has already been graded out with gravel, and he wants to, leave that as gravel, no additional paving for what is there. He's taken the roof drains, he's taken half the roof, tied it together and pitched them to this culvert, which goes out into the drainage basin for the subdivision. So that was all, the original design took all of the drainage from every lot and routed it into the detention basin across the street here. So half that drainage is still gonna go that way, but because of the work he's done back here, we can't get this around to the back anymore. So what he did is he tied these together, and actually it comes out right there. It just dumps out into this low area. So I know it's, again, difficult to see, but it's roughly 271 in that area, 272, and then it starts to go up.
And what's the elevation that the drain that goes across the street or into the catch basins?
272, a little bit over 272.
Okay.
So down in here, what we're proposing is to turn this, to take the boulders that are there, they're just jumbled, put them along the edge of the area where the erosion control fencing is already there, put them along there and create basically a basin. But we're only talking about anywhere from 1 to 3 feet. So the boulders will sit up, backfill on this side of the boulders. Again, we're only talking about 1 to 3 feet. And then this area, which is a natural low area anyways, will act as a detention basin, which is what it's doing today. We're not gonna dig it out, we're not gonna do anything to it, except for we're gonna plant a conservation mix in that area through here, and up here where it's been disturbed. And then what that will do is that will allow us to balance the flows in and out. We've included a stormwater report to show you that. And that's all the work really done. I mean, so to recap, really, a lot of this work, he did a lot of this already. What we're proposing is to build the wall and to revegetate the area and let the boulders act, let the low area continue to act as a detention basin, and then that's it. Nothing else will be done on the site. No additional clearing, no additional graveling, no additional paving.
Okay.
Bob, do you have the big plan? I drew on the big plan.
Yeah.
So Bill, the only water that will go into that basin will be coming from the west side, right? Because everything from the north is going into
That's what he said, he's going
that culvert. Or the south too is coming into that basin.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
let me just,
It's hard to tell with the contour.
yeah, it is. I'm looking at it is a little, so this area here, the front, kind of the front like I'm showing. And
Includes the roof.
half the roof
Okay.
is gonna go into this culvert, which is where was going, up until a while ago. And then along the back, this will run along the back of the remainder of it, the site goes this way. So this is going this way, actually, a lot of it goes that way. I'm just looking at my notes. And then this area here is gonna go down the driveway where it's going now, hit the driveway, go in the back, hit the basin, and it will be let out slowly through it's a 6-inch pipe we've designed that just sits on the bottom and it will allow flow to go out. This area in the back over here will go that way as well. And then, as I stated, half the roof will go that way. I know not all of you have the stormwater report, but in the stormwater report, we've broken down the different sub-areas.
Bill, when we were out there, it looked like the water that came down the furthest,
The driveway.
the driveway, came down sheet flow across that proposed gravel pad.
Yeah,
That,
yeah,
it would sheet flow over that
Yes.
into the woods.
yeah.
And, that was somewhat disturbed, but now it's proposed as a gravel pad, and I don't think it should be there. I think
It's in the
that-
25-foot no activity zone as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a further expansion of the site, and, I mean, there was a lot of additional activity that was done on this site, and now there's a proposed gravel pad within the 25-foot no disturb zone?
With an
Well,
old vehicle on it today.
It's not in the 25 no disturb.
Part of it is.
I'm looking at.
The larger plan shows it to be.
Bill, you want-
Okay, I'll have to look at that. I'm looking at my real plan, not my cartoon level. And it's not, and I'm only looking at the gravel area it's there. I didn't expand it, so.
No, I know, but I don't know if this was part of the original plan. I don't think that this.
You know what? You're right.
That's not what we talked
was it
about.
part of the
You're
original
right. This
plan?
is not, that's not, this is what's there now.
Okay.
This is what's there now.
Okay,
This should not, you're right. You're right. So, we're not gonna do that.
okay.
Only
Big
what,
X.
only what was there now. You're right. I'm looking at my
They-
drawing here, and I'm looking at that going, no. So, only
Want
what,
to show them what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, I think he agrees that that gravel pad shouldn't be there, so.
yes.
Okay, now, okay, so then let's move up to the other gravel area that we saw the sheet flow come down and go into the wooded area. So how are you going to capture that in this disturbed area?
So, which piece are we talking about now? Over
Okay,
here?
so, nope, the gravel area that's above the proposed gravel area. Yep, that area,
This piece?
yeah.
We
That's-
talked about a swale there.
That's,
So it looked like it came down this,
That big driveway.
right here, it came
Yeah.
down and went right into there. It was an overland flow, right into this area. Came down this driveway.
And we talked about putting a swale at the end of that pavement, and instead it's been built up. And they're storing supplies and things there, and there was they're old vehicles, like you said, they're really impressive, but they're old vehicles, and old vehicles leak oil and such.
well, I can do something with that and make sure that it goes into the new basin, so that it doesn't go in this direction. Because
We
there's a break right there. It's a break. It's a break right in that area there.
We talked about putting some sort of a swale along the back and go into a basin on the east side, on the west side, not at the bottom on the south. There's a vernal pool in that adjacent area, which is likely the habitat of a rare species in the area.
Well, there's no vernal pools listed.
Doesn't matter.
Well, we can disagree on that. And you're right, there is endangered species around the site, but it doesn't encompass the site. Let me just make my note here.
I think it goes right up to the border of the site, and I think they did that intentionally because they didn't want to be too controversial or difficult. But when we were out at the site, we did talk about the water sheet flowing down the parking lot, and that there should be some sort of a swale along the back of the building to collect that.
Okay.
And then the area on the east side of the building where there is a depression and where there is actually an outfall from the roof now, we talked about encouraging that to be even more of a little basin rather than sending it to the back. Also, I went there today, and there's a new pile of stones, large rocks, that have been posited in that back corner, and there's a note saying stone wall here or something like that.
Yes.
Basically, it's going much further back than we discussed.
Well, the stakes that are there, we put in, so you could see where the wall is going to be. And so you could see the elevation. There was elevation marks on there, weren't there?
I'd have to look at my
I didn't look
pictures.
for
Yes.
elevation.
So the,
I was just thinking, that's a lot farther than I thought it was going to
One
be.
stake is right in the middle of the rock pile.
yeah,
Yeah, so you're going to move everything to the building
This side
side
of it.
of that.
yes.
But that was a rock pile that had been added to an area that we said should be left alone.
Well, he might have brought rocks in, I don't know this. You know, he might have brought rocks in anticipation of building that wall, but that big rock pile in the back, it's been there forever, that's not new.
No, I've got pictures that show it. The silt fence had been on the side of the rocks behind the building in that area, on the upland side. And now there's a lot of rocks that have been dumped, large rocks that have been dumped on the, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, the silt fence was on the upland side. And now there's a big pile of rocks that are beyond the silt fence in the upland side.
Beyond, you mean, like,
Into the upland more?
right, so those are the ones that he probably just dumped in anticipation of doing this.
We've been saying from the get-go that the originally approved plan stated that, I can't see it, what it says, but basically, area to be restored to a natural area. Well, part of that's gone now because they've put that roadway along the side. But the other side, we keep harping on that west and south side to be restored to a natural buffer.
Well, other than the area right around the building, I think that's what we're proposing, because we're going to eliminate this that shows, but this area, it's already all.
He built it up with gravel, and instead of making a swale there where the swale used to be, and
Right.
as we discussed.
Right, but, okay, but we're restoring all of the rest of the area around there. Is there some other type of restoration you want us to do?
Well,
It's
yeah,
a-
I mean, he cut down trees and everything. So
There's
you're proposing to plant essentially a grass mixture, which, who knows, he might decide to mow after this. Aside from that, this finger that goes down, I mean, he cut down all the trees in that area. He opened this whole area up. I don't understand why this is all of a sudden being incorporated into his new area that he can use when it was not part of the original plan.
Okay, I understand.
We went out there during the height of COVID with our masks and all, and we talked until we were blue in the face about what should be done, and none of it's been done.
Well, okay, well,
I did tell him he could cut vines out of the trees in the back, which he did, and he did a good job. But he also did other things that we hadn't talked
I mean,
about.
we were trying to work with him here by
understand.
creating a rain garden to capture the runoff in the back of the, we understand there's been an elevation change, but creating something that will capture that, not just sending it off into the wetland, and then restoring the area where he cut all the trees down. Now, I understand, I saw some pretty big trees adjacent to the building, and I understand why he wanted to cut those. But this area down here, where he just cleared it out, and now it's a big mess, he's done a lot of clearing on this property that was a violation.
So,
Yeah, that shouldn't be forgotten.
so I apologize. I should have coordinated closer with you. I'm just kind of getting it secondhand. Now I'm getting it firsthand. So what additional restoration area do you want us to take? Do you want some trees in this area?
Yes,
And then
some native
maybe take out
trees.
some of that finger down there?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you could, two more things. We talked about putting a rain garden in where you were talking about, your little teeny swale, putting something in that actually, because it's already disturbed now.
Yeah.
Put something in that maybe has two functions. It functions to capture the runoff, and then it functions for wildlife habitat too. And then my question is, this proposed gravel pad, I don't know if I noticed that before, but
No, it wasn't there, and it
what's he
wasn't
gonna do
supposed to
with
be.
that? Is he gonna park vehicles on it?
Well, vehicles were parked on it.
Equipment or
I'm talking about
materials?
the one on this side.
Materials, yeah, probably.
So now we have another area where he's parking vehicles.
Well, the gravel pad along the back, that nice, neat, flat gravel, small gravel along the very back of the building, he's got supplies and stuff that he's storing there. But the gravel pad that he's written in, that is showing here, below all that area, is actually up to the right a little bit. And it's got larger stones, and it had an old vehicle parked on it.
Well, that's what this facility is. It's going to be for displaying old vehicles, and that's what it's for. And I understand you're unhappy that the work was done without permits.
Or
So if he's-
according to what we had talked about.
So are the vehicles actually vehicles that he runs on the road? Do they have oil in them, hydraulic fluid?
Well, I'm sure they do. They certainly look, yeah, I'm sure they do.
Okay.
They look like brings them in and restores them.
Okay.
And I think they run.
Well, I guess I would like to have, if he's gonna be storing all these old leaky vehicles, that he has some kind of way to capture the runoff and have it go into an oil water separator or something. I mean, when you go into a garage, they have ways to capture all the greasy stuff that comes off cars.
Well, they have that inside.
I think, and I don't know when you went there. Okay, I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Been there many times.
On June 18th is when we went with several people.
And Mr. Green was there.
But my,
He was there, wasn't Rich there or something? Rich from Bay Colony?
No, he
No
said
Bay
he was.
Colony representatives?
No, I think after that meeting, he said he was going to contact Bay Colony and get the drawings done.
Okay,
So, up
according to
until
our
that time-
specifications, yes.
Up until that time, Mr. Buckley wasn't involved, so.
but my point is the site it's absolutely pristine. It's pristine. So it's not, I know you're just trying to make a metaphor, but there's not leaky, crappy vehicles here. The site's pristine. The guy does a beautiful job, and I would, if you get a chance, go back down there. He cleaned it up. Not that Granger had a bad operation, but it's beautiful. So I think that's a little unfair. but,
Well, no, it's neat and tidy, but it's too tidy. The area is supposed to be naturalized, and an area that we ask be put into a rain garden depression.
then we can work
And the
on,
back area we wanted to have restored, not filled with gravel. We wanted to have some sort of a swale, a low-impact development swale at the bottom of that parking area, across the back of the building, and then back into that rain garden, probably.
I can do all that, but, he does want to use, I understand, if
Poor Bill.
if he wasn't, no, I'm just trying to put my mind here. Let's pretend that he didn't do this without permission, that I was just walking in here correctly, that none of this had been done, and I was just asking for this. I don't think it's unreasonable for a commercial building like that to have outside storage. This is a commercial development.
But I guess what was done should have been done with a request for
Should have been
determination
done.
or a notice of
Yes.
intent.
I
And then we
understand.
could now we're looking at this, like he's restoring it with a line of rocks in areas that he already disturbed. That's not restoration.
Well, I didn't say it was, the rocks are for a basin in order to control runoff.
At the back, though, not at the side.
Well, you don't have to control the runoff. I mean, the upper left, as you're looking at that plan, that runoff is going, it's controlled, it's going somewhere. This is meant to control the rest of the site that's feeding down there. I understand you want me to make a swale down at the bottom of the gravel,
Yeah.
and you want me to do something out here more rain gardenish. It's very high groundwater there. I mean, it's basically, during the wet season,
Well,
you can see it.
It's flat. It can be a big flat area.
Yeah.
Well, it's a depression too, Judy, in there,
is.
Yeah,
remember?
no, it
Yeah.
could be a shallow, big, flat, or big depression. Just so it's controlled, it's not gonna shooting off in one area.
Well, we are talking about two different things, too. We're talking about clean roof runoff, and then we're talking about a large paved area, some of which was not approved, running down towards the back of the property and not being cleaned in any way, shape, or form. And now we're told that there are going to be older vehicles being displayed there, which is lovely, but that's a whole different ball of wax, too.
Bill, what's the width of the gravel alongside the building?
It's about 12 feet,
12 feet?
which is an aisle. If you're driving on the highway, a lane is 12 feet.
I don't understand
Yeah,
how we
I-
heard
I
that.
thought when we were talking, that was going to be used for drainage control, not for parking or storing vehicles or.
Yeah,
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But,
he didn't hear what we told him.
Initially, I mean, the original design, and probably the way it was built, was there was a swale around the building.
Yes,
Yes, there was a
exactly.
swale
And we
all-
liked that.
Which I don't think ever worked because the elevation behind the building is lower than the
Right,
invert for the going across the street.
yeah.
So,
But we are talking about two different things, too. We're talking about clean water and dirty water.
yes, yeah.
That's an important thing that we tried to convey during our site visit.
Bill,
No, I don't think we talked about parking vehicles on this proposed gravel pad at all
No,
when we were out
no,
there.
No, we didn't.
No.
Absolutely
I
not.
thought that side of the building was going to go back to a, quote, "a natural state."
Yes, and
think
just
that's
capture
what-
water
Yeah.
and infiltrate it in
Well-
a rain garden.
Well, it is capturing the water. This is the low area down here.
Yeah.
All through this area here. But no, he wants to have some area to store
Additional.
equipment and vehicles, if that's what he wants to do. And again, I understand the fact that he should have done it correctly, and it's not. But, so we're here tonight to make the presentation and ask to do it this way. And I will do all of the other things that you're asking. I will put a swale in there, I'll put a rain garden, I'll cut off the tail in the back there, we'll put trees and shrubs instead of grass. That's fine.
Yeah, we did talk about all of that stuff, plethora and such. And if he wants to display the vehicles, I mean, he's got that large area that he just created on top of the ledge, and he's got the whole front parking area, but
Right.
that back area is not really appropriate without a good amount of treatment
I
for
don't
the
think-
petroleum. And I know it used to be an auto place, and I know it was a mess, and I know I cleaned it up, and he's extremely clean, and he's one of those guys who wants it to be all neat and tidy, and that's lovely, but nature's not necessarily neat and tidy.
Bill, do
We're
you-
talking sort of two different things in a way.
do you know what is, if he's collecting old equipment, what's to say he doesn't buy a bunch of old equipment, just store it anywhere on the lot? I mean, can we get a handle on him placing old equipment that he's about to repair in a location that, if something does drip, that we're going to collect it with the oil and the rest
Yeah,
of the
the
runoff?
oil is important.
Because you can't park it, if he parks it on the side of the building, then it's going to go right into the stones and then down into the...
I'm sure there's been a lot of damage done in the past, but was not supposed to have been done either. And, you know, you just want to get the area restored. And he's obviously very, very meticulous. And he's got some very cool old pumps that those dudes that go around the country looking for junk and stuff, and they would love to see, because they're really nice, and some old cars and stuff. But when I saw those old vehicles right next to the wetland, made me cringe.
Okay, yes, the answer is yes, we'll have to figure that out, but yes.
It's not that it's not doable, it has to be doable in a way that's good for the environment.
Okay. All right, so I think I've got it. Is there any more items that I should know?
No, I think I'm done.
You want more?
So want to recap what we talked about then, Bill, so we don't have to harp at you
Yep.
anymore?
Swale around the east side where the water is coming down here. First of all, get rid of that. Swale coming around the east side to make sure the water goes into the basin and not out over to the wetlands over here on.
Okay, you're talking about the basin?
Yeah, the one we're gonna build with the boulders. Yes.
All
I
right.
mean, do we not want those, I mean, the boulders are perfect. I think they stop you from moving out word of areas that's already disturbed, and they're gonna act as a basin, because we'll fill up on the dirt side of it. So you know how we're always worried about encroachments, well, you're not gonna be encroaching that way
Yeah.
with this built. So I'll bring it up, right now it goes down the tail like that, I'll bring it up here to get that tail, and we'll revegetate that trail.
He can keep it mown, and he'll be very happy.
Well, we'll put some trees on there, which ain't.
On the side, on the west side, right?
On the west side, and we'll do some, instead of just grasses, we'll put some bushes. I'll get Pear to give me some type of a planting plan for that. And we want, on the outfall there, in this area, we want some type of a rain garden, so anything coming directed down here, and maybe the rain garden will be,
Yeah.
maybe the swale will be the rain garden. So we've done that before, so it comes off, hits it, stays, and then it will overflow. And then I need to come up with if we're gonna do any type of vehicles outside, then we need to have some type of
He's going to have...
plan on making sure we don't
Contamination.
have oil, right, or contamination. Did I miss anything?
I'll just mention one other thing, and I think this will make it easier for you. I understand his concern about the trees next to the building, but he cut way too far. So in terms of your restoration plan, maybe along the edge, you could start with trees and then move into shrubs. And then, there could be a little bit of maybe some herbaceous vegetation adjacent to his pad.
Yeah, I think we talked about
Do like a
plethora.
transitional kind of, it doesn't have to be, that whole area doesn't have to be trees. It could be trees, shrubs, herbaceous vegetation.
Or even just shrubs, I think would do, because those trees are going to creep towards the building, because that's the light anyway.
It's herbaceous, grass.
Oh, grasses.
I think if you just threw in a whole load of sweet pepper bushes and called it a day, it would take over, because that's what wants to grow there, and that's what.
Yeah,
A lot of the stuff he cut, that's what it was. I mean, he could almost just let it grow, but he's busy. And he's been busy on that side, and is still busy on that side.
Okay, I got it.
So I'm okay with that too, just having it be shrubs. It'd be nice to have some trees back in this little finger area.
Oh, at the very
there.
bottom in the
Yeah.
south?
Have
Yeah.
some trees down in there.
That would be nice.
Okay.
Because he did cut several trees down there. Remember, we saw that he'd cut some,
Yeah.
was it yellow birch and a couple of other, there's good-sized trees that he did cut.
Yep.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
what's our next date?
October 5th.
You ready?
yes.
October 5th?
So we get, Bill, are you giving me that 88 Ridge Road? You sent me the thing, but you didn't bring
Somebody
the
want
hard
to make
copies.
a motion to
Steve hasn't
continue
made them
till
yet, but
October
yes,
5th?
88 Ridge
Sure.
Road, too, please.
All right,
There's
so
no need for curbing in this.
Huh?
There'd be no need for curbing now in the area of the gravel to direct the flow.
I don't know. I'll look at it. I'm hoping I'm just gonna be able to maybe do a rain garden along the outside of the gravel.
Okay.
And then just use plantings and mulch, not mulch,
Of what gravel?
the gravel area
Pads.
right here.
The one he just added?
Oh, no,
That
gotta
was
get rid of
going
that. The one that's there. I still wanna use the gravel area around the building for storage and vehicles.
My mouth is open.
That's my ask.
Make a motion.
We were trying to work with them.
I believe
We
it.
were.
And
We
maybe I
were.
just wasn't getting the.
He
I
just
know-
pushes and pushes, but I guess that's what happens with when Mr.
But I'm
Buckley
sure
gets
what you come
involved.
up with will be great.
I hope so.
So,
You know, curbing might be helpful to direct any water flowing down that hill, which is going to be flowing pretty quick.
Well, that's the problem with curbing is it
Speeds
channelizes
it up.
everything. You know,
Yeah.
some stuff hits it and it goes, where right now, it's probably a sheet flow, which is better as far as erosion goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, curbing, you need curbing if you have catch basins and stuff. We don't have them in this particular case.
Maybe some sort of curbing beyond a little swale there at the end,
I know, we'll look at it.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion. Continue the hearing to our
October
next
5th.
scheduled meeting date,
October 5th.
October 5th.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed?
Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you.
you can,
Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxboro's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, September 21, 2020, at 7:30 PM in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxboro Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Bethany Kennyway for the installation of a new septic system at 82 East Belcher Road, Assessors Map 123, Parcel 1, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for inspection at the Conservation Office. Bethany, do we have you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Do you want me to talk about it?
I'm here.
Okay.
Are you able to?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
We
You're
can hear
good.
you.
Okay, great. My name's Bethany Kennaway, and I am the trustee for this property. We are getting ready to sell it. We have buyers, and contingent, obviously, is to put in a new septic. So you should have the plans there, and we are close to the 100-foot wetland buffer.
Okay.
Do you want me to explain?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been speaking to Bethany for a while about this, and It's within the 200-foot riverfront area, but there's a cesspool there now, so it's going to be better than it was before. I went out and looked at where the bound of this particular septic system is going to be today, and I hope that's a pile of rocks out in the back there, because otherwise it seems to be within a ledgy area, but
Okay,
it's
were you
basically
able
up on
to
top of
find
the hill.
bounds, the
Excuse me?
markers? Were
Yeah,
you-
they weren't easy. They're basically just sticks in the ground. One was up on the corner where there's, it looks like ledge, but maybe it's a pile of big rocks. And it's up in the higher area, so it's not really going down low at all. And there is an area that's cleared out because they took some vehicles out of there.
Yeah, that was an area that I was concerned about. I didn't know that they had pulled up. I saw the disturbance down there, and what's going on?
Yes, so now they have put a silt fence along the back of the limit of work. And Mr. Morshed did that. When I went there today, Tree Tech was cutting down a bunch of trees in the area where the septic system's going to be. And as long as they don't go beyond that limited disturbance, I think this would qualify for a negative determination, which is good. Negative is good.
Yep.
Yep.
Bill said he's going to go out tomorrow and put in the sock for the silt fence.
Okay, good. All right. I say, I was out there. That first oak tree has a lot of poison ivy on it.
Oh, there's a lot of poison ivy everywhere. I hope you didn't
Yes.
walk around too much.
Well, I tried to be careful. I didn't go tromping in the woods. But, yeah, it looks perfectly okay to me. My only concern was where they had hauled out the old vehicles, that area. So, did anyone else get out there, or? Okay. All right, so, a negative would be good.
Yeah,
So,
your usual -3, 6, and 6A, I would say.
I'll make a motion for a negative determination for 3, 6, and 6A.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Very
go.
good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Lots of luck with the project.
Thank you.
I know where that is.
Okay. One more. That's a heads up. Okay. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, of Foxboro's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, September 21st, 2020, at 7:35 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxboro Town Hall, 40 South Street, on a notice of intent filed by Tom and Ruth Jackson for the demolition and reconstruction of a single-family home at 54 Neponset Heights Avenue, Assessors Map 44, Parcel 20. Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. Application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. Identify yourself for the...
Good evening, my name is Peter Lavoie. I work with Landmark Site Design. I'm here tonight representing Tom and Ruth Jackson. They're in the audience right there. The project is located at 54 Neponset Height Ave. That is on the left-hand side of the page. Neponset Reservoir is on the right-hand side. We have an existing 8,000 square foot lot. This is the existing conditions on the top.
Okay.
So you can see, so we have the existing house in this location here with an existing patio, concrete patio. Existing septic system in the front yard, right here. The existing driveway and walkways are all highlighted so you can see all the impervious area. We have concrete retaining wall in this location along the back of the lot up against the water. So the water goes right up against that concrete wall. Then you have your 25, your 50. I did locate all the large trees on the lot, so that those are shown. Okay.
Let me interrupt for a quick section. Do you have the green cards?
Yes, I do.
Okay, could you let the secretary have them, please?
Okay.
Continue.
So what my clients would like to do is they would like to remove or demolish the existing house and construct a new single-family house in that location right there. They want to remove all the impervious. They're going to remove the patio, all the walks in the driveway. They will construct a new driveway, but it's going to be porous pavement. So that would be porous pavement there. Because the structure is increasing in size, they have to relocate the existing septic system. So the new septic system will be closer to the road. Because we're adding this structure here, I mean, we are decreasing from the existing to proposed. We are decreasing the impervious area by roughly 296 square feet. But we are going to collect the existing structure with downspouts and put them into a recharge area behind the structure, which will consist of 6 infiltrator units in that location right there. We are also proposing to construct a rain garden at the bottom of the slope. This is going to serve for two purposes. One purpose is this infiltration structure, if it overflows, it would overflow into the rain garden. And then the other purpose would be because it does drop, the slope does drop back there, and we are regrading it a little bit, that would collect any runoff that the grass would create in that backyard and would go into the rain garden, so before it gets into the no disturb. We also are proposing to construct or install like a gravel walkway down to the bottom of this area here. Right now they have no access. There is a walkway adjacent, but that's not on their property. Our proposal, we're not proposing to disturb anything within the 25-foot at all. We're not proposing to fill any floodplain in the area. That grade's all going to stay the same. And this proposal does not propose to take down any trees on the property.
Where is the floodplain?
The floodplain comes in like this, runs along like that.
So where, is it shown?
Oh, no, that's the silt fence. No, the floodplain is down here at 269.7, which is in the retaining wall.
Is that the, because it seems to me it's 171, no. Never mind.
I also verified that from the notice of intent that was filed for next door. That's also verified the number that was
The
on that.
floodplain, there was a letter of map amendment for 36 Ridge Road a while back, and so we've been using that elevation, except I cannot recall what that elevation was right this second.
Well, our closest grade change, and it's not a fill, is basically at 274. We're not doing any work below 274. It's all staying natural.
That's probably all filled area in the past, because the edge of the water,
Yep.
the retaining wall, I'm told that the water just beyond it's around waist height. So that's a good amount of, you can see that it's probably been filled in the past. So are you proposing to do anything to that wall?
I wasn't proposing to do anything with that wall.
No?
No.
Oh, I thought it said it was. Then where's this wall proposed?
That wall proposed would be up here on the adjacent, up near the, because this is going to be a walkout, so to adjust the grade on this side, because this side is higher, there was going to be a small proposed wall there. Right now, it's shown that it grades out, but I put the retaining wall detail on there in case I need to do a wall on that side. But I'm not proposing any other walls. Because the foundation's gonna be, it's gonna step down, so I'm not gonna need a wall. And we're gonna match the grade along the sides of the structure.
Okay, one thing that was brought up during the site visit that we went on today, Bob and I couldn't figure out where the actual boundaries were. And it didn't appear that there was an 8-foot wide area. Well, it says.
Yeah, it shows 8.2 on this, on your plan, but if, at the front corner where the proposed garage is going to be, there's, in the existing house, if there's 5 feet between the property line and the house, I don't see it. It's, I'm concerned about that sideline.
Okay.
And one thing, what I'd like for you to consider is moving the whole house back towards the street and revising the septic system a little bit so that you could move it back and you could do less disturbance towards that hill, because that hill is extremely steep. And you want to walk out basement, you're going to be disturbing that hillside.
Well, right now, what I'm proposing to remove in the area is basically a 3-foot cut in the back of the structure. That's what the walkout would consist of. The grade change is going to be lowered in the back by what was it? I said 3 feet?
3 feet?
3 feet, yeah.
So you're going to cut 3 feet all the way out.
Correct, yeah, 282.5 would be the back of the structure there. And like I said, we're gonna try to step the foundation on the side so the grades, as you walk to the back, the foundation's gonna step and you're gonna just have like siding, vinyl siding. So the concrete's not gonna be sticking out of the ground.
Well, next door, it's probably yay high and it's faced with stone, looks beautiful. I just found my notes. The floodplain is 271.4. 271.4, which is right around where you put the 25-foot buffer zone.
Yeah.
And when I've spoke to people about this, I've said from the get-go that there should be no alteration of the hillside because it is so steep. I live in a similar situation where my backyard is my deck. And I can walk around my deck and mow it, but then it goes boom, right down. There's an awful lot of invasive plants in here and things that, it could be restored in certain ways, but it is a steep slope and grading that at all would be a huge mistake. You could even put these proposed drainage, whatever you call them, you could put them underneath the deck instead of out further. From the start, I've been saying, really, there should be no alteration of that back slope except to put stairs in. And when I was talking about restoring and rain gardens, the rain garden was an alternative to the in-ground storage area that you've proposed. Rain garden at the bottom of the slope is not really the best idea here.
Okay.
Because it's all sands and gravels and I'm sure it percolates right in. Basically, no alteration of the back slope is really critical, except to hand remove invasives and perhaps hand plant something that would hold that, keep it together.
Okay.
Because it's tough, it's really kind of tough site that way.
Yeah. Now, again, going back to my question about the septic system, is this the actual, I know the Ponset Heights Avenue, there's an actual roadway that people drive on, and then there's the road layout. Is this is the road layout, I take it?
That's the actual property line.
Okay, so the street basically is another 5, 10 feet?
Correct, yep.
Okay, so if you move the septic system, and I think you can get a variance from Board of Health, because earlier tonight, they had a 4-foot from the property line variance from the Board of Health. So if you just move everything towards Neponset Street, I think it would, or Neponset Heights, it would improve the complete layout of it and
If we, I'm just making a comment, if we do move the house forward, that just means more material would have to be, because the grade is gonna, the top of the concrete would have to stay the same, and my clients would like a walkout, so more material, because the more you go up, the more material you're gonna dig out.
But
That was the kind of reason we sat it right here, because we're not removing a lot of material. And the only reason why this back is graded is because I wanted to give more of a backyard. I mean, I can, if I didn't, like the deck ends right here, and then I kind of gave them another, I don't know, 15-foot flat area. If I got rid of that 15-foot flat area, all this grading would go away. I don't really need to grade the backyard.
But
I mean, I could just talk to my clients, and if they got rid of that 15-foot flat area, like I said, the end of the disturbance would basically be here, and all this, we could just leave. I don't even need to do any of that, except if I wanted to, if that walkway down, I could get rid of all this grading.
They'd have a bigger backyard if you moved it forward, wouldn't they?
Right, they would have a bigger backyard.
Well,
But I can-
when you
I
live in
can-
that kind of location, your backyard's your deck. I
Huh?
mean, when you live in that kind of a location, your backyard is your deck. You use your deck. I mean, I have a 40-foot long,
Yep.
10-foot wide, I think, deck, and just enough area to walk around the outside so that I can make repairs and that stuff, and I can mow around there. But that kind of location, that's going to be your deck. Now, also for the stairs, you said gravel stairs? How the heck can you
It's
make
just
gravel
gonna-
stairs?
Huh?
How the heck could you make gravel stairs
I'm just
down
saying,
that
they're
slope?
gonna be gravel in the,
Step downs.
and then they'll just have like stone step downs, or railroad.
Well, basically just cut and,
And put like a railroad tie or
yeah,
a
yeah,
stone.
I've done that at my house.
Yeah.
Because it's too steep to walk down, yeah, okay.
But the areas in between the stairs would be kind of gravel, or they could be grass. They don't have to be gravel, because as long as there's a path to get down there. That's all they're trying to do.
yeah, it's very, very steep there. It's going to be,
You definitely need a railing.
yes, yeah. You're going to need a lot of steps there to get down.
Also, as far as tree removal goes, you didn't specify which ones were proposed to be removed, but there's an
None.
awful lot of really large ones.
All the large trees are staying.
All the large trees? Oh, I saw in the written part, something about the trees to be removed, blah, blah, blah.
Might just been a standard note. I wasn't proposing, I mean, the only tree that would come into play would be that there's a large
It says
pine.
existing trees to be cleared. Trees to remain shall be protected during
Okay.
construction with silt
That's
fence.
just it was just standard note. I'll take that off.
That needs to be changed, yeah.
Okay.
And then limit of work to be stake and no hay bales, basically. Silt sock is what they use these days.
And I was proposing wattles with this, with the silt fence.
Wattles,
Wattles, yeah.
straw wattles?
Yeah, straw wattles, yes.
The commission usually likes the silt sock
Oh,
filled
the silt
with,
sock, okay.
can't see me, silt sock filled with compost.
Yep, okay.
But I mean, if you're keeping your work to the top of the slope there, you may be able to get away with a silt fence, but you probably want the wattle too.
We want both.
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause it's so steep. Probably orange construction fencing to show the limit of work as well.
You said you are going to take a tree down, or?
I mean, the only one is that there's a large pine right here, but that would be the only one.
That huge pine,
Yeah.
is it necessary?
I don't know, depending, I don't know, I'd have to look at it a
It's
little
right,
more.
it looks like it straddles the line. I mean, that's the problem, you can't really, are there any bounds that show?
There are. I did talk to there was also another surveyor who contacted me about, he did a property survey there, so he did send me a plan that I was gonna verify.
Because it
my
would be
plan with
helpful
his.
if we saw where the bounds were,
No, okay,
Yep.
no,
because it's very narrow in between
Yeah.
these houses as it is. I mean, it's not that much wider, the proposed footprint is not that much wider, but still, it's gonna create alleys,
Yeah.
back alleys.
They're almost gonna have to, for the footings, they're gonna have to dig right to the property line, basically, to get the footings in for the,
Yeah?
yeah,
For the foundation?
yeah.
Oh.
Because if your wall is this, your footings are wider than your walls, so.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to get your lot lines defined.
yep, I'll do that.
Okay,
should-
and can you look into shoving the house forward or towards Neponset Heights? And maybe making the septic system wider and shorter, or get the variance from Board of Health to get you closer?
Yeah,
To the street.
I can look at that and talk to my clients.
Okay.
All depends on your soil too.
Wow.
It's all sand and gravel there.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Should perk.
Yeah.
You have to watch out for water line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to
It's gotta
be
be
10 feet, but I
10 feet or put a sleeve around it, so
Yeah.
that's expensive, existing water line.
Okay. I don't know where it's.
Also, you need stairs from your deck. You want to be able to get down from your deck, don't you?
I don't know.
It would make you cuckoo if you couldn't. I highly recommend using cable, those cable wires in your, on your deck railings, because you can see everything, even with binoculars. You're going to be watching birds and stuff like that out in the water. You can't even see them through binoculars. It's bizarre. I have that at my house.
Anything else from up here for now?
You guys covered it all.
Almost, yeah.
Do we have any comments from the audience? Use the mic, please. You can slide the mic over, but. And just for record, identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm Horace Jones at 56 Napoleon.
Okay.
And I have two basic concerns. One is the wall down at the water. And the wall is, on their property, has split in two areas. And it's attached to my wall. So the water's starting to get in back of the wall at this point. So I didn't know if there was any plans to straighten that out.
He said there was
or-
no plans for the wall at this time, so that's, am I correct? You're
You
not
are
touching the
correct,
wall?
yes. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I can talk to my client, but right now, we're not planning.
They should probably consider it now because you're not going to be able to do it later. I don't even know if you're going to be able to do it now.
No.
But it looks kind of treacherous. Although if you never get down to the waterfront, really, you won't have to worry about it. But I was afraid to stand near the edge of it.
We can look at it.
Okay.
Just something to consider.
Can I ask a horse question?
Sure.
Horse, do you know how long it's been that way?
No, I don't. I'm gonna say, it's been cracked a long time, but it's only been in the last few years that it's getting behind the wall. But I can't give you a date.
I just wondered.
And then the other part is something you've already brought up, in that bringing the house within, closer to the water line.
Away from the water line.
Away from the water line.
Yeah, yes, okay. And I think you mentioned something to us this afternoon about the tree. Is that tree on your property, or is it?
Well, there's a little contention there. The original surveying put that tree right in the middle of my property.
Okay.
The last plan put it onto his property, onto Tom's property.
Okay,
So, I don't know, I'm trying to get that straightened out now.
okay. All right.
Are we talking about the pine tree?
The large
Yeah, the pine
The
tree.
large pine tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, originally, when I had it surveyed, the drawings not the drawings, but the stakes showed the property being 11 feet from my house. When the certified drawing got made, I lost about a foot and a half. So I don't know what happened there. And I'm trying to figure that out now.
But the property hasn't been surveyed recently, is that right?
2003, well,
Yeah,
yeah, they did it.
I did some field work, and also he hired someone, I guess recently.
Well, I didn't
was it
hire him,
Bay
I
Colony?
just
He
asked.
contacted me.
Yeah,
So him and I have been talking, so I have to get out there, and I just want to verify what he did, so there is no confusion, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't want to have
Can be
something
cleared up,
wrong.
yeah. It should be.
So I will check that, house planning.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the audience?
see me when you come, because I can show you where I think.
Okay, wait till he, yeah.
Advised.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Again, name for the
Thank you,
secretary.
yes. Peter Marinelli, 305 Taunton Street in Rentham, for Horace and Roberta Jones of 56 Neponset Heights. Just for the record, and Peter, I appreciate your presentation. For the record, just point of clarification. In the narrative, it does say it's a three-bedroom house presently, and the proposed, obviously, is three-bedroom. It's actually a two-bedroom home. If you look at the assessor's cards for this property, it's a two-bedroom home. The second point, and facts are stubborn, all right? The second point is, Landmark said that, I believe it was on September 5th, that they gave notification to abutters. The actual notification wasn't sent out to my client until September 14th. So I just want to put that on the record, is the envelope and the stamp that it was mailed was on September 14th. My client received it on September 16th. So I just want to point that out for the record. The other thing is, yes, the property has been surveyed, but there is no clear demarcation to the average person. There's no fluorescent paint out there. There's no stake. There's a concrete pad down by the water line. So there is a concrete monument down by the water line. But when Landmark was out there, and Horace and I walked the property, and Horace and Roberta would testify to this, the only thing we could see that would show that there was any sort of survey was a nail. And it wasn't any larger ahead than a roofing nail. Innocuous. We're talking 5 to 6 feet separation between these properties. And this gentleman and his wife can't even get an accurate survey out there. When Landmark does a property, they can't even put stakes in the ground. There's an issue with the pine tree. There's an issue of the separation. What exactly is the setback or the side yard? These things are concerning to my client. The house is going to be going from a 20-foot wide house, 24-foot wide, to I believe a 27-foot wide house, approximately. So their plans that they submitted, I know I'm getting into the planning, but the plans that they submitted, I just want you to be understanding of this. It's either an intentional omission of accuracy, or it's just sloppiness, because the plans that they submitted would never pass as an architectural drawing. The plans that they submitted to the planning board, I'm sorry, zoning board of appeals, basically say that the elevation is subject to change. They're proposing 23 feet and a quarter inches. But that doesn't include the grade of 18 inches. So you have to read the plan. But they could go up to 35. And it says right on the plan, actual house may vary from elevation. And this is all we get. We don't get an architect's drawing. We don't get an elevation. This is what we're dealing with. So I read this proposed plan here. I was confused right away because it says on the stamp, you know, trees to be cleared. And he did acknowledge that that was an error. But you see the same number of trees on the existing and the proposed. So details are important, and I just want to point that out to the commission, and I appreciate your time. But I absolutely want you to walk that property and put yourself in the shoes of Horace and Roberta Jones, who've lived there for over 40 years. And you have a structure that right now, the dimensions are 24 wide by 31 long. And they're proposing a house that's approximately 27 feet wide by, I think it's 76 feet long, plus a 10-foot deck. That's like putting up a 24-foot, 25, could be up to 35-foot fence. So you're changing the attitude of the house from this that they're looking at, let's just say, for argument's sake, to this. It's like a wall. So we're dealing with those issues without any point of clarification right now. And now we're stuck with this situation where we can't even get an accurate, we can't get a detailed marking of the actual property lines. So these are the concerns my client have, not to mention, obviously, the slope, the wall. I mean, we need answers, and we need specified, drawings and information from the engineer. And I appreciate if you could get that cleared out.
I didn't do the architectural.
Oh, I know that, but I appreciate if you could work with Billy and get that straightened out, because my clients cannot go out there and see and discern exactly where the property lines are. I can't overemphasize
As you
that.
can imagine, that was one of my first questions about property line, because I was out there this afternoon and very confusing.
Yes, and you heard tonight that now that tree might be moved, whereas the proposal says no tree. So it's a moving target. It kind of changes. That's my concern. But thank you for your time.
Any other comments from the audience?
If I may, I just want to introduce this into the record. It
Sure.
shows the stamp on there.
I would like to ask that the floodplain that I did put on my plan of 271.4 be shown on this plan. And the 25-foot buffer zone actually zips up because the side retaining area, you can see where it was all pushed out in the past and filled in, and The one next door is farther in.
Okay.
Okay. And obviously revisions including wall locations, if there are going to be any, the trees to be removed, and changed it so there are no, there's no alteration of the slope, except, you know, you can specify if you want removal of invasives and hand removal of invasives type of thing.
Anything else?
Should,
Make a motion to continue?
yeah, continue, yeah.
What's that?
Make a motion, give Nye to
I
continue.
want to just check. Well, you have the information by October 5th, or would you like a later date?
No, I will have it by October 5th.
October
And I'll
5th.
have the property line staked.
Okay.
Will you notify Jane when
will
it's
not-
staked so that we can go out there?
Okay.
Thank you.
Was that, did you want to say anything, that is zooming in, the person? Okay.
I'd say no.
All right, okay. All right, now I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to continue the hearing on DP number 157, to be determined, which is 54 Neponset Heights Ave, to the next scheduled meeting of October 5th.
Second?
Discussion, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll see you back on the 5th.
Hopefully the neighbors stay friendly.
Nothing worse.
Diana,
What's that?
Beaumont's Pond gonna be in?
Peanut butter.
Yeah, they're on, they should be online. It should be
Oh,
Lauren
okay.
and
There's-
Mike
I just do
Rongioni.
this
Okay.
weird stuff thing. It's just me.
All right. We have a continuation of DEP 157596 to Beaumont's Pond. Welcome.
I'm Lauren Gluck from Park Corporation. I'm here with Mike Rongioni from Park Corporation. We have continued our notice of intent hearing for the Beaumont Pond Dam tree removal project and provided some responses to the comments that were given at the last hearing. So we've submitted a letter with the responses. I'm not sure if you'd like me to go through them one by one, if everyone's had a chance to review the responses. That would be the best way for.
I think I included them in my manager's report,
You did.
Oh, okay, all right,
so you're good.
all right. All right.
Yeah, I can go through them, each of the responses, if that's helpful in any way, or just address any outstanding questions at this time.
What's the board, do you want to go through them one by one, or just do a summary? Don't everybody speak up at
I
once?
think I ought to go
I have to
through
excuse myself.
one
Okay,
by one.
okay. I guess we'll do them one by one. And it'd be, Diana,
Jeff still
did you
here?
note that
No,
Rich
he's gone.
recused? Okay,
No, he's
all right.
teasing himself.
Off we go.
Okay, so the first comment was regarding the ACEC on the property. The site is located in the Canoe River ACEC, and there were some concerns regarding activity within a BBW in an ACEC. I reviewed the ACEC regulations in the Wetlands Protection Act regulations, and there is a specific item that says that the ACEC requirements shall not apply to work proposed under 310 CMR 10.533L, which specifically pertains to construction, reconstruction, operation, or maintenance of water-dependent uses. So clearly here we're looking at a dam, so it's a water-dependent use. It does meet the limited project criteria. Therefore, these impacts we believe are warranted in the ACEC. Additionally, what we're proposing is temporary in nature. We're proposing to remove trees that have grown at the toe of the dam slope, and only within 10 feet. We've really limited that clearing to that critical 10-foot area. And leaving those stumps in place could pose a hazard to the dam. As the stumps and roots decay, there's conveyances, conduits through the dam that could be created, which is essentially like a pipe for water through the dam. So we understand the concern of impacting the BVW, and therefore we propose to restore those areas with a native seed mix, such as a New England wetland seed mix, that would provide herbaceous cover that's more appropriate for dams and would not create those hazardous woody plants growing along the toe. Any questions there?
Nope. Not yet, anyway. Continue.
Okay. The second concern was straw wattles being used as erosion controls. I guess this was probably cited somewhere in our write-up. The plans themselves don't specify an erosion control method, and we acknowledge that the commission does not want to use straw wattles and that compost filter socks are preferable. Item number 3 was a concern with invasive species colonizing the areas disturbed by the clearing. We acknowledge that areas of exposed soils could be colonized by invasive species if they're not properly seeded and stabilized. So we're proposing that the upland areas on the dam embankment itself would be seeded with native grasses, and then, as I just described earlier, the areas that would be disturbed in the wetlands could be seeded with a native seed mix. The next concern, there was quite some discussion last time about the origins of the dam, when it was built, whether it may have been a natural landform. So the information we have is that it was built in 1886. So there was talk about some very large trees on the dam, 150-year-old looking trees. That's kind of in line with the construction date of the dam. Unfortunately, it being so old, there are no original records of the dam structure. There are some records that were provided by the Concom to us, including some interesting information about a gravel operation that was apparently done in the 70s, where I guess flow was temporarily diverted around the pond so they could excavate gravel for some large project, and then they then restored the flow to its original alignment. But, you know, we do believe it to be a man-made structure, you know, predating any available records. There was concerns about the two-phased work approach. So essentially, BPHA is proposing to do the clearing first while funding is available to do the tree clearing. That would ideally be done this winter. Winter ground conditions are ideal for clearing because it would be less disruptive to the underlying soils. And then at a later time, probably within a 2-year period, then they would come back and do the stump removal under a separate permit, which would probably be done by spring of 2022. And then there was some questions about alternatives to tree removal on dams. And the commission had asked, could we modify the structure, lower the impoundment level? Were there any alternatives that would have less impact than clearing the trees? The answer is that tree removal is a standard dam safety practice. It's required by the MADCR, Office of Dam Safety Policies, and vegetation growth limits access to observation of the slope. It can create these localized deficiencies that go unnoticed when the slopes are overgrown. It can create hazards. If a tree blows over and rips a giant chunk of the dam out. And alternatives that were discussed, lowering the dam would significantly impact a lot of other resource areas around the dam, including the pond itself. And it would not address the remaining concern for the blowover potential of trees, seepage through the root system, et cetera. If there were to be a modification to the structure, like an emergency spillway, the potential is there to increase discharge capacity. but still nothing's being done to mitigate for this potential damage caused by the root systems of the trees. Then there was a question regarding the
Let's go back
the
to that
access.
other, the alternative. We had a situation, as I think we've mentioned before, with one of our dams, that they did put in a bypass and left all the trees on the dam, and that was approved by all the authorities as a, rather than going through and taking all the trees off of the dam. And so it is a possibility. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to back to the document here. Okay.
We lost you? Okay, you're back. Okay.
Oh, no. Do you see me? Am I still here?
Yes, yep, you're there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry. I just had to toggle between some screens. Okay. So there was a concern about the access route. We're proposing to use an existing access path from East Street.
Could you get a little bit closer to your mic, please? Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry. Hello?
Yes, that's better. Your voice was dropping.
Okay, I'm sorry. So there were some questions about the access route. We're proposing to use an existing access path from East Street, which provides a fair amount of clearance. It's an existing dirt road. It's fairly flat. There are a few areas with overhanging branches, but it's not anticipated that there would be any additional tree clearing required other than the tree clearing that's already shown on the plans. And I believe Mike has walked out there and kind of agrees that it does appear to be plenty of clearance for equipment. We understand that if a condition arises where suddenly we realize there's going to be additional tree removal required, that that would need to be reviewed by the commission. But at this time, we don't believe that's the case.
Okay, I think one of the questions was how wide, what equipment that you're going to be using and what was the width of the truck or whatever equipment that you were going to have in there.
Yeah, so this is Mike Rongioni. So when we walked the pathway, we did walk with Tree Tech and MAS Bridge and Building. And at that time, they didn't express a big concern. I didn't ask them what size trucks they were going to need to perform their work, but certainly there's some fallen trees and there's some branches, as Lauren mentioned, that will need to be cleared out. But there was not an express from them that we had some large trees or any other major trees that needed to get cut out to provide access. So I don't have an actual dimension on the trucks that they might be using, but we walked out there. I mean, there was 10, 11, 12 feet routinely throughout there. They may have to meander a little bit, but we didn't see, and neither did the people from Tree Tech see that to be a big deal in getting access to the location.
Okay. I think that was your question, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah, you're going to be using a cherry picker, Tree Tech's cherry picker, and probably going to use the skidder to move some of those trees into a landing for them to take off. What are you going to do about all the branches and everything? Chip in place?
Well, that was a discussion that we had, either chip in place or chip and remove. I'm not sure if we'll be allowed to chip in place or if we would have to remove them, but we're willing to do whatever's best for the commission.
I'm thinking if you're going to plant native grasses or whatever, later to prevent erosion and the invasives coming, I don't know about chipping in place is it better than all that time of trying to grass it?
You mean leaving the chips on the slope?
Yeah, they keep the
chip for
invasives
grass, is
down.
that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, we would need to grass it just to protect the embankment from erosion. So that still would need to be the case. I'm not sure if I understood your question. If you're talking about, can we just leave the chips on the embankment without seeding it? Was that your question?
Yeah, why waste seeding it if you can chip in place and spread it thick to achieve the same it'll prevent erosion, and it'll stifle some of the invasives.
I talked to one of our dam engineers here at PAR, and he said it's not recommended, and that it would not provide adequate erosion protection. And that grass is preferred to wood chips, that wood chips are not a recommended method of stabilizing a slope long term.
So you'll be chipping, not taking everything out then?
Unless it's okay to spread it somewhere else, along the pathway, let's say, and not on the embankment. If that's acceptable with the commission, that would, probably, save some money in terms of the work.
Unfortunately, it's only an easement over private land, so.
Yeah, who's that land belong to, the access?
There's 3 private owners on, all the way to the street.
Okay.
Yeah, the majority of it is the lights.
Oh, Matt Light? Oh, okay.
Matt Light and I forget his wife's name, but.
Okay. Grace is the daughter. But, okay.
I did find some historical photos of, aerial photos of the area. And I think that the date that was given to you for the dam in the 1800s, that must have been for the actual dam that at the, for Beaumont's Pond Dam, not this dam that you're talking about removing trees. Because the aerial photos show that in 1961 as having a wetland. It's where the stream went through. And then 1971, so from 1961, it shows a wetland in that area where the stream came through. Then 1971, there's the gravel operation in that area. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on. But 1978, that area was filled. So I think that's when they must have put in the spillway, and they routed that natural drainage down to the spillway in that area. So it does look like that area was filled partially. I still think that huge tree down at the other end, though, it was part of the natural hillside in that area. But the rest of it just, that goes out was altered for sure.
Yeah, let's don't cut the tree down and count the rings to see how old it is. Because it's quite old.
Because that area, it was 1961, it was a wetland in there. And so I think that tree is over 70 years old.
Oh, yeah, it's very old.
That was just what I found.
Okay. Any questions from the board did you cover all the points that you were going to cover, Lauren?
The only other point was that Jane wanted to see some plans from the last dam improvement project from 2007, so I sent those to her. And I had no other comments.
Okay. Jane?
Well, when I looked at that NOI filing, I was wondering how the recommendations from that filing were addressed, or if they had been addressed. 3.3 and 3.4. 3.3 is engineering report, studies and design, and 3.4 is remedial measures. So number 1 talks about hydrologic and hydraulic evaluations of the outlet structures. And then number 3 talks about an operation and maintenance plan manual should be prepared. Number 4, a plan to remove the large trees, i.e. over 6 inches in diameter from the embankment should be prepared, which is basically what I guess you're doing. 7 was design a tow drain to intercept seepage water and convey it to a discharge point. Let's see. Tow drain needs to be designed to limit the potential for soil migration and softening of the toe of the embankment. And then remedial measures talk about cutting 1, 2, and 3. Cut trees in excess of 6 inches, root systems grubbed, and resulting holes promptly filled with suitable compacted material. 2 is clear the entire dam/dike embankment of brush and small trees, twice yearly clearing. 3, fill and compact the depression, oh, that's sinkhole, that's probably what you had already done.
Excuse me, Jane. Lauren, can you hear her?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
I was just wondering how all of those things have been addressed, because they were mentioned in the 2007 filing. And it looks like that filing, I started to review it, the plan. It looks like it had some sort of a cement, level cement area, and it had started to erode back under, kind of like at Hershey, at the
In Ponset?
no, I think kind of like the Bleachery Pond.
Oh, okay.
It looked like that kind of thing. But I was wondering if any of those things have been addressed since 2007, 13 years ago? Do you guys know?
Well, I guess I can speak because I'm also a member of the homeowners association. So I've been a member since 2006-7 area, and when I came on board here, that dam work and the repairs that were associated, which you're referring to, had just been completed. And I know since that time, there is a group of the board members that do go out once a year and do some maintenance on the spillway, the dam, and trying to maintain the area around that spillway and dam free of plantings, debris, and clean that up. I'll be honest, we have not addressed the area that we're coming forward to you about. So that is the issue at hand, is that we have not addressed the clearing along that embankment. The focus generally was on the spillway and sluiceway area and keeping that area clean. So we're trying to correct that and stay on top of that as we move forward. So that's been one of the issues that came up when we had, the inspection done, and we got the report, from PAR about, removing these trees, and we had been neglecting that. So that's something we certainly want to take care of and try to maintain that, that maintenance program moving forward. I don't know if that answered your question in totality, but that's really what the association has been doing.
Do you have an operation and maintenance manual?
Yes, we do.
You do? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Question, if you cut all the trees and you have the stumps there, and I know you need the finances to remove them to complete the maintenance, how long does DEP give you before it has to be done?
I don't know the answer to that question directly, to be honest. I know that we have to have that dam inspected, and we were, I can't remember the grading, if it was fair, given that we do remove these trees and do the work on this embankment. So I know we'll be coming up on an inspection in another few years. So if we don't have that work done, does that mean we come back as a poor grading? Probably.
Any other questions?
So I'd like to reiterate the lowering of the spillway to take the pressure off that one area that was filled. I hate to call it a dam, it just doesn't seem like a dam, but it was filled. So there's no incentive to look into that alternative a little bit more. I mean, that would, if you lowered the spillway, you might not have to do anything to that area. Or is there, I don't know, maybe you could just address that.
Well, I guess I'll ask the question as to when you say lowering the spillway. So, we have a permanent, there's a concrete spillway that is set constant. And then we have a sluiceway that has stop logs. So we can pull stop logs and lower the dam and lower the water level. I'll ask the question to you as to what water level do I lower that to in order to stay certain that that embankment will not fail?
Well, there would have to be some hydrological study to determine that.
And what about the impacts of lowering that water level around the dam? What other impacts does that end up resulting in if we drop the water level 2-3 feet?
Do you do that in the fall anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a short duration when we do the drawdown.
Well,
It's not permanent.
You're right. With the permanent drawdown, there would be impacts. So I guess the impression I'm getting from you is that the homeowners association wouldn't be interested in that alternative.
I'm one board member, so, I'd have to go back to the other board members, but I just don't know, what that's going to really solve, because you still have these big trees along the embankment. And, you've seen some of these windstorms that we've had, this past year. If we lose one of those large trees and we uproot a big stump, aren't we going to lose water down that and cause more issues down the road? And I think that's kind of where we're at, is like, well, why don't we just at least take the trees down and protect that embankment and the impoundment area of the water behind it, versus having the risk of, some of these trees falling and uprooting, themselves and then causing even more of an issue downstream. So we lower it 2 feet. Okay, well, we have that large tree that's 150 years old, and that happens to blow over, and that's got a root ball of 6 or 7 feet. We lower it 2-3 feet. That potentially doesn't solve the problem. I think it's just a huge risk, and we're trying to minimize the risk by, staying true to this maintenance plan, which we have been lax. And if we do that now, we stay ahead of the game and we just kind of monitor that. We can spend money on having analysis done to evaluate lowering the water level, and then studying what the impact that has around the surrounding areas that have now become exposed. But I just don't know if that's really going to get us the lessened risk that we're going to have by at least cutting the trees down and removing the stumps and protecting that embankment the way I think the original intention is, and the way that the dam safety tells us to.
You make a good case.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're trying to do the right thing, so that's why I'm just.
Yeah, well, in the write-up, it just gave a very small little blurb, I mean, you just gave me your thought process, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Anything else? No. Anything from the audience? Close it?
I guess.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion. Jeff, have you?
No, Jeff sent me an email. He had to leave at 9:30.
Okay, all right. Okay, still have a quorum. Okay. Discussion. All in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you all. We'll get an order of conditions out.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too.
You as well. A short one now,
Thanks.
but we're making progress.
Shorter.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep.
We have a continued, I don't have nothing new for, okay, 67 Ridge Road. Finally.
Good evening.
Good evening. Again, if you don't mind, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, because I find difficult listening in to people that have the mask on.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing a lot of talking today.
Okay, good.
I brought somebody here that can help me.
Okay.
Teresa's from Blue Flax Design, and she helped us put together the restoration plan that we discussed last meeting. So I'd like to turn it over to her if you guys would not mind.
Okay.
She can walk you through what we discussed in the plan that her team put together.
All right. Welcome.
Hi, welcome, good evening. Teresa Sprague with Blue Flax Design here to discuss some of the invasive species management and restoration plantings that we're proposing for the 25-foot no disturb zone at 67 Ridge Road. I had an opportunity to come up to the site and visit the property, walk through. We discovered a fairly large area patch of invasive Japanese knotweed right along the edge of the Neponset Reservoir, shown in the darker green area on our plan, as well as a significant amount of Asiatic bittersweet located throughout the entire property, but more in patches on the east side of the concrete patio and the boat ramp, the brick boat ramp. There's some concentrated bittersweet in that area, as well as some bittersweet throughout other portions of the property. But we were mainly focused on proposing to manage the Japanese knotweed before it spreads any further. It's pretty limited. It is starting to spread from the area right along the wetland up into past the pool fencing, into the area just to the south of that. In addition, we would like to see it and prevent it from spreading. It's a fairly weak patch right now. We'd like to prevent it from spreading further to the north and west. And of course, it's kind of blocked by the cement wall, but we know that Japanese knotweed has a tendency to overcome even more significant barriers. So we put together a management plan we submitted with some timeline and methodologies for managing both the knotweed and the Asiatic bittersweet. In addition to the knotweed and the bittersweet, there's a significant amount of greenbrier, which of course is native. Not proposing to manage that for eradication as we would with invasive vegetation, but simply to manage it to prevent it from growing in and taking over the area while the other native vegetation establishes. In addition to the Japanese knotweed management area, we just identified an area on the east side of the property, just to the east of where the proposed garage, and in the area where the proposed garage that's got a lot of debris has maybe been used as an area for just dumping vegetation debris in the past. We're proposing to remove all of that debris and then restore that area as well. And then if you look further to the northwest, the understory is somewhat lacking in that area. There is a significant canopy overstory. It was nice to see the chestnut saplings, although unfortunately they do appear to be in distress. White pine, there is a significant amount of Clethra alnifolia, the summer sweet or sweet pepper bush located throughout the property. And so obviously we'd like to build upon that. There's also a lot of Comptonia, which was really nice to see, sweet fern, large patches naturalized, and then in the southern portion of the property, large patches sweet fern above the retaining wall. So with that, we're proposing to restore the entire understory area as well as the ground cover layer, and we're proposing a seed mix to install in the area where we're going to be proposing to remove the Japanese knotweed and then in any other bare areas where there's bare soils and not a significant duff layer, to get a good ground cover layer established, and then to establish or reestablish a shrub layer throughout, understory tree and shrub layer throughout the entire project area that's shown. We're looking at 158 shrubs consisting of clethra, some red twig dogwood, some witch hazel, a mix of ferns, some swamp azalea, maple leaf viburnum, and then we are proposing in an area up closer to the foundation where it's currently bare, there's just a significant bare area of just mulch, to plant the foundation with inkberry holly and then plant lowbush blueberry throughout the entire area. This is the area south of the walkway that leads from the concrete patio to the swimming pool area, if you're looking at the plan. There's some really nice perennials existing on the east side of the brick patio, just to the south of the concrete patio that sort of jets out into the reservoir. There's some rudbeckia, there's some eupatorium perfoliatum in there, some boneset, and we're just proposing to remove any of the weedy, noxious weedy, there's a lot of mugwort and things like that, non-native Asian daylilies in there, remove those and restore them with some perennials that will provide some good pollinator habitat. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the proposed management of the invasive knotweed or the Asiatic bittersweet or the restoration planting.
Thank you. Jane, you want to start us off?
It looks nice. I wasn't really expecting to have the whole area planted. Will all of these plantings be done by hand, I take it?
They will all be done by hand. The knotweed will be removed by hand. There's obviously access is somewhat difficult here, so this will all be handwork.
Good, good, good. Are you going to be doing the work yourselves? Are they going to do it?
I'm going to be
So
consulting.
we'll be doing some of the work, and then we'll be working with the property owners to specify the planting, lay the planting out, and then I believe that they will be responsible for doing the planting themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern would be, kind of carte blanche to disturb the 25-foot no activity zone that hasn't been disturbed, but that's my main concern. I mean, this was a lot more extensive than I expected, but it looks good, as long as it's done properly.
Specifically proposing small size container plants for a couple of reasons. One, to minimize the amount of disturbance in the no disturb zone, as well as to help reduce plant mortality. We are suggesting temporary irrigation is going to be necessary for the first few growing seasons while the plant's established. We know that the smaller the plant size, the lower the mortality rate, the more opportunity the plant has to establish a root system. So it kind of plays in doubly with that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't go crawling around the areas to the far left in this particular plan. So I assumed that was pretty much just native, the way it wanted to grow. Is that not true?
There's really no understory in that area, and I'm just going back and looking through the photos that I took right now.
But if it's happy not having a no understory, that's not such a bad thing.
No, not necessarily. I'm sure we could certainly reduce the planting if that was the commission's preference. That would not be an issue. So if, for instance, there was concern about, potentially creating some disturbance on that left-hand side in that sort of northwest corner, we could certainly eliminate that. We are, however, recommending there's the area just below the pool wall between the fence and the retaining wall around the pool. And we are recommending to seed and plant that area in there. We want to leave room for access for maintenance around that retaining wall that's below the pool. But right now that area is bare, and it's just an area where debris tends to blow in and get trapped. And so we'd like to I would highly recommend planting that area between the fence and the retaining wall.
Is that where the
currently-
knotweed is?
I'm sorry?
Is that where the knotweed is located?
There's knotweed that's starting to creep in. So the knotweed's mainly located on the water side of that chain link fence, but it is starting to creep into the area underneath. There is some sweet fern existing in that area right now, and we're just looking to enhance that and then plant out more woody vegetation. And as you head a little bit further to the north, there's the corner where there's the shed with the pool equipment. And in the area just below the retaining wall, that's just bare ground. So we are proposing to seed that and then plant a couple of shrubs in that area.
We hadn't seen that. This is more than I had expected, actually. But anything to restore the habitat without giving someone a carte blanche to, clear this out, add herbicides and plant natives, which is essentially exempt anyways, planting natives. We want to encourage people to be good stewards to their property with guidance.
Understood.
With knowledgeable guidance.
Yes.
And I think
if it would be helpful, I do have a photograph of that area that we're looking at, only if that's helpful. If it's not necessary, I'd be happy to share that. But if it's not necessary, completely
It would help me picture it if you can pull it up quickly.
Well, it's up there.
Yeah. Can I share the screen?
Oh, the planting plan? I thought you meant a photo of the actual area.
No, I have a photo of the actual area.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, let me just share that quickly. Okay, so I think you can see the screen. There's the area that we're talking about. So up in the corner, we have a lot of summer sweet, and then there's some red maple. Up in that corner, there is you can see some American chestnut just on the right-hand side of the photo.
Mm-hmm.
They're sapling size. They're really small sapling size American chestnut.
They don't get much
But
bigger,
then
as you know.
Underneath the fence, on the water side of the fence, there's a lot of just bare ground. And then there's just below the retaining wall that's holding up the swimming pool. That's the area that we'd like to plant out.
What's the round thing that's right there?
It's an umbrella base.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's just some debris that had blown in that area. And then if I can share this one, there's this really lovely stand of sweet fern. And there's a little bit of sumac in here, staghorn sumac. So there's a really great base plant community to work off of.
I agree.
I think there's just a good opportunity to enhance it. And then this is the Japanese knotweed as it's kind of creeping its way to the southeast.
Yeah, that was a main concern of mine.
Yes, yeah, and as you can see, as we kind of move, and this is the area that's shown on the dark green portion of the plan, it's significantly more intense as you move sort of into the west. But then as you get further up to that northwest corner, we suddenly, again, transition into that plant community with the American chestnut and the summer sweet, the maple. We just have that bare ground cover. So that's what we were proposing to enhance.
Maybe it would be good, leave it well enough alone if it's not eroding or anything. Is there any, so there's no herbaceous layer at all and it's not eroding, right?
No, there isn't, but there is a duff layer. So there's certainly the leaves have dropped and haven't been touched. So that's absolutely, there's a duff layer that I think is protecting the soil.
Yeah.
And obviously with the canopy layer that's in there, it's protected as well.
I think that adding something inside of the fence would be appropriate, maybe leaving the rest to just do its thing. And are there any bittersweet vines throughout that area to the?
Not many. No, there aren't many bittersweet vines throughout that area at all. The bittersweet is mainly focused to the area, the way that plan is located to the right of the garage, the way we're looking at the plan on the screen right now.
To the right of the garage? The bittersweet?
The proposed garage.
Huh.
So there's some debris. There's an existing shed off the driveway.
Right.
And then there's the proposed garage area, and there's an area that's kind of shown in yellow and then a little bit darker green. So there's some bittersweet mixed in there, and then there's a lot more greenbrier in there. So it's really just a point of wanting to manage the greenbrier just to prevent it from overtaking any of the new shrubs that we plant in there. There's a lot of just debris, vegetation debris.
I remember that.
Some household debris, some wood piles. There's an old, like a chicken wire fence in that area, and that will all be coming out for the proposed garage.
Cool.
Well, I have a little different take on this.
Well, let me hear.
I think the plan that you came up with is great.
I said that.
Yeah, no.
Now
Right?
but.
No, and I would actually prefer to have you do some of the understory planting in that area. It's, it's things like low bush blueberry and some azalea. I think it would just enhance that area, so long as you're not taking out anything that's already there and native and everything, but planting a few extra things in there, I think would be great. It'd be a diversity for wildlife habitat, and I just agree with Jane in that I wouldn't want a lot of disturbance in there, just, hand planting some of the understory stuff that you have. You're not talking about like taking out the chestnut or anything?
Not at all.
No?
No.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
so it would just be basically enhancing the understory in that area.
Right, just in those areas that I showed you that are currently bare, where there's
Yep.
no vegetation.
Okay.
Sound good?
Oh, I have one other question. So you have a 3-year monitoring plan. Who's going to be doing that?
The
Will you-
monitoring, I'm going to be working in conjunction with them.
Okay,
the
so
entire
you'll be
time.
doing this over a period of 3 years, going back and checking the vegetation, and it looks like you have some maintenance that you're doing and checking and cutting and doing some additional herbicide treatments and everything.
Yeah, because unfortunately, Japanese knotweed is a tenacious invasive plant, and generally 3 to 5 years to really get it under control,
Right.
which is one of the reasons why, in this particular case, because it's a fairly small patch and I've worked on project sites where we're dealing with an acre of Japanese knotweed that's been there for many, many years. It's kind of a different story. Here, I think we'll get good control. Of course, this is the right time of year to treat Japanese knotweed, so we'd like to get that first treatment done immediately. We're a little bit past the most ideal time was probably back a couple of weeks ago when the plant first started to flower. But we're still within a good opportunity where if we can get a treatment in now this season, I think next year we'll continue to monitor, cut the Japanese knotweed back, continue to weaken the plant, help it not translocate carbohydrate stores to the root system, so that when we do a second treatment next late summer, we'll get really good control of the knotweed at that point.
That would be great. Would it be possible to just get a brief report sent to the commission each year?
I absolutely, that's absolutely not
once
a
a year?
problem.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Just to, it doesn't have to be long, just kind of outlining how things are going and what.
Yeah, absolutely, yep.
Okay.
So we would we could submit a monitoring report after we do our knotweed treatment in usually late August, early September.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich, anything else?
No.
Peter?
All set.
David?
I would suggest that we allow them to immediately start working in that area while the paperwork is being finalized, because, as she said, now's the opportunity.
I drafted the order of conditions already.
Okay.
The only caveat, as I said, that, so phase 1, 2, and 3, phase 1 is removing invasives, phase 2 is planting replacement natives after, so invasives, perhaps herbicide, and then plant some plants. And after phase 1 and 2 has been successfully done, then construction would start. A lot of times people don't do any of it. They do the construction and then they say whatever, whatever. So that little carrot and stick approach of doing that first, just phase 1 and 2, not the continued maintenance. So basically what she's saying, the Japanese knotweed removal and herbiciding and planting some of the plants in the major areas, the dark green in particular, and, you know, the dark green in particular, before starting construction.
That agreeable?
So just to clarify, I guess just because I don't quite fully understand the time frame from my understanding, to treat with herbicide, we have to wait 6 months to a year before we can plant. Is that correct?
So my recommendation would be to not put the woody vegetation back immediately into the intensive knotweed management area, only because we know we're going to have to do follow-up treatment again next season. And oftentimes when we jump the gun and plant before we've gotten good control, we like to get at least 80% control. We could treat it this year and then see how it comes back next spring. And if it looks like we've gained 80% control, then we can absolutely plant. However, once we cut the knotweed back and treat it, we will seed that area with the seed mix that we're proposing, that we've put together for this particular spot. And then if because it's sloping, we may then want to cover that area with a coconut straw or a straw erosion control blanket. I think that's written into the invasive plant management plan, just to make sure that the soils are stable. The grasses will grow. Of course, with knotweed, you need to use glyphosate is the active ingredient that treats Japanese knotweed. But we're able to replace some of the grasses. What we hate to do is plant the woody vegetation back in and then potentially end up treating it and having, even though we're doing a cut and wipe treatment, a cut and drip treatment, there's always the opportunity for, potential, especially if we're planting so densely. We just like to get the control of the knotweed before we put the woody vegetation back.
That sounds fair. The only thing is the carrot and stick approach. We want to make sure that it's done. No offense to you, we do this with everybody. Or we're learning that we need to do it with everybody because oftentimes that restoration part is not done.
So I have no issue starting the treatment and the seed and the straw that's being proposed. My timetable for the construction was going to be to start this fall. So if you think that's something that we can accomplish within the next 30 to 45 days, I have no problem to commit to the board that I'll start.
Well, that's what she's saying needs to be done too.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I was just thrown off by the planting portion because I was under the impression that you have to treat the area first and then give it time.
No,
before
that's
you
true.
can
That's
planting.
true.
You know, I don't want to wait 6 to 8 months to start construction until the plants take hold.
No. I just want to, we just want reassurance.
I think we could phase the planting too. I think we could do a phased planting approach because there's a significant amount of planting that we can do now that's not going to be affected by the knotweed treatment.
Right.
Yeah, all you have to do is make sure they get watered if this drought continues. People go out and plant them, but they forget to come by and water them later.
Well, I've heard that if you were to take water out of the Neponset Reservoir, you can use it like fertilizer. So I had thought that you can't take water out to water your plants, but perhaps if you had a little pump and spray. You do have to keep it watered, though. Judy's looking at me like, are you kidding?
Don't confuse me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've got a weird sense of humor.
Hey, you're being recorded, Jane, so be careful.
Oh, that's okay.
You can't pump water out of the deposit for your own use. That's not allowed.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Shouldn't.
pot it-
Okay.
Can't put
Shouldn't.
water
No,
out of
no.
the deposit. Even if some are doing it.
It's
right.
Oh, well.
I think a temporary above-ground drip system on an automated timer hooked
That
up to
would
a
be
spade.
wonderful. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That's what I would
I'm
recommend.
sorry. I'm
Okay.
getting punchy.
Yes, I know, it's getting late. I want to go home.
Very tired.
I think we're done.
So, have you got enough information, we can close this?
Yes. And like I said, I
Got
promised that I would have the order ready, and I will read to you some of the stuff quickly.
Well,
and
before we get that, let's close
Yeah.
the hearing. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to close the hearing at 67 Ridge Road.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, all right. Order of conditions,
So, what I did was, I put project description, proposed construction of a garage attached to a single-family house on the Ponset Reservoir after the completion of the upland restoration described below to mitigate for previous alterations along the waterfront that were unpermitted. So the upland restoration,
Gene?
oh, sorry. What I wrote is finding, Foxborough Conservation Commission finds that the proposed upland restoration and associated invasive plant management plan shall improve the Neponset Reservoir's natural buffer zone and wildlife habitat, as well as mitigate previous unpermitted alterations along the waterfront, including the placement of fill in the reservoir to create 2 cement-covered patio peninsulas and a boat launching ramp. The upland restoration shall renaturalize the altered waterfront by 1, hand-removing invasives, Japanese knotweed and Asiatic bittersweet, 2, planting native species, and 3, monitoring the area for 3 years. Prior to beginning work on any garage-related construction, first phase of the upland restoration areas, which is 1 and 2, and this is negotiable with the commission, this is just my recommendation, shall be completed and then approved in writing by the commission or their agent. The delineation is good. Notice of jurisdiction, blah, blah, blah. General conditions, and then upland restoration, special conditions have to do with, and I think probably it's gonna have to be modified about do this first and then
Yeah,
construct.
okay.
I think that
So
needs to be specified
You
better.
can do that tomorrow after. you
Yeah,
sign
that
it,
needs
yeah.
to be specified better.
Yeah.
The monitoring plans.
Yeah,
Okay, well, the monitoring plans?
Yeah.
Well, I've cited that as far as the documents go, approved documents. One is the planting plan and one is the invasive plant management protocol.
No, I asked to have a report submitted to the commission once a year after.
Oh, okay, I think I've got that. Well,
Oh.
not exactly, not exactly.
okay.
An
So,
update of what's going on, that's it.
yes. Let's see.
So there would be 3 reports.
Upland restoration area that a restoration specialist needs to supervise, which sounds like you.
Yes.
Construction period, applicant shall complete phase 1 of the upland restoration activities prior to commencing any construction-related activities. Final restoration plan, get together on site to schedule review of, identify mature healthy vegetation to remain and invasive species to be removed. Invasive plant disposal, what we usually say, native plant requirements, site stabilization, let's see. The rest is pretty much the same. And then under the bylaw, it talks about the 25-foot no activity zone and boundary markers. You may or may not want those to kind of, let's see, visible stone bounds or concrete. Pretty much at all turning points to notify people in the future that that's a no activity zone. And that's about it. And so I need to add the bit about monitoring. I think I said during the construction, like an emailed update every couple of weeks to me.
Oh.
Just a little quick, but I can put in monitoring report.
So my only question is, just so we get it right, is what specifically we need to do and how to show it to the board that we've done it prior to breaking
Yes,
ground? Because
yes.
I don't want there to be a misunderstanding. I
No.
want to put together the good faith effort that, look, we've done this and this, here is what we've accomplished, can we officially start? So that way I can, from the project management perspective, manage that process and the people that we're bringing in to do it without then, oh, but you said you were going to do this, but you didn't do that. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page for that.
Reasonable, yep.
How about I send everybody, including you and your representative, a copy of the draft? You guys can sign the signature page, and then we can hammer out what you think should be done in there. Does that sound good? I need a specific, it needs to be specific, like you said, and I did put in that restoration specialist shall report progress to agent via email at least once every 2 weeks, basically during activity. But,
And 1 year, like.
and the 1 year monitoring at the end of the year, August or September.
I feel like I can update you and CC her every 2 weeks, because I'm sure I'm not her only client, and then I can have her draft the yearly report with the full, so. 'cause she's
No,
gonna
that
be
sounds
yeah.
good. We just want to ensure it's done and it's done right, and you don't get carried away or not do enough, or, all that. It's kind of, that's why we like a specialist, because people don't really get it.
I've realized that over the last year of this process.
It's art and science.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Mostly science. So, I drafted it. It can be issued like day after tomorrow, after we've hammered out a couple things, and I'm just about incoherent at this point in time, so way past my bedtime. If you'd like to sign this,
Motion to sign the order of conditions as modified.
okay. So I'll send it to all of you, and then if you would just give me your suggestions. Of course, don't respond all. The commission can't
Yeah.
respond all. I mean, you can respond all.
Yeah.
So
I get my hand
here's the-
slapped.
No
Very
reply
hard.
all?
Yeah,
No reply all? Please
Yeah.
stop the daisy chain emails?
yeah.
We have so many requirements that we have to keep in mind. It's too much.
Open meeting law is a very serious thing in Foxborough.
And it has to be, unfortunately. So I can send that around tomorrow. I don't think I'll be in the morning because I have to work tomorrow night too.
Yeah.
I have to cover the office.
Gabby said she's doing
Gabby did? Oh, never mind. I guess I will be around tomorrow. I
it.
didn't
She
know
said
that.
she's coming in until noon and then going home and coming back at 4.
Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, cool. Good. I didn't realize that.
Regular hours? Good.
Yeah, normally if I work on a Monday, I don't work Tuesday nights.
All right, are we all set?
Looks good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do we
Thank
make
you.
a motion to
We'll talk in the
sign?
morning.
All right.
Oh, do we need to make a motion to sign, folks?
We did.
Did, okay.
Who did it?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Bob did it.
Wait, you gotta get,
Bob did.
Can I make a motion so I can go to bed?
Me too, yeah.
Are you allowed to make motions?
I signed it already.
oh.
No.
I thought they had to
I
sign
signed
it.
it.
Oh,
No,
what's that?
I signed it. That's the Boy Scout, Brian's, the thing you have to sign as
Oh.
the people who are getting the benefit,
Oh,
the donee or whatever.
okay.
Beneficiary approval, I just went out and I signed it. He was out
Okay,
in the hall.
good.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Yeah.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Good night, all.
Good night.